Welcome back to the BlunderSpeaker Show, folks. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, spirits of all ages, please do come on in. It's an absolute pleasure to have you back. If you're here new, of course, welcome to the show. My name is Tepid Goose, and this is the BlunderSpeaker Show, where we talk and play and do everything related to Spirit Island. This is, of course, a playthrough session that we've got on the table here in front of us, and it is against the mighty Habsburg Mining Expedition. We'll get into all of that now momentarily, and there's a blunder for you. If you're new to the show, you might wonder where the name BlunderSpeaker comes from. We do everything on this show in one take. That means there's no practices, there's no dry runs, there's no reruns, and there's very little editing if I can get away with it. So we've got a really nice one tonight. Really excited about this. We've got Relentless Gaze of the Sun. We've got Thunderspeaker, which is finally, I'm really excited to get Thunderspeaker on the show, the namesake of the show, of course. So we'll get into all of that now in just a moment. It is, what are we now? We're, I believe, Wednesday, 2nd of April. It is local time, 21 minutes past 9. It's been a beautiful day today, so we've had the Relentless Gaze of the Sun outside there all day, which has been quite nice. And as a result, I've picked myself up a nice lager for this evening to kind of cool down and refresh myself a little bit after what was a very nice day. So thematically, the day worked, but that's about as good as it got for me. It's been a bit of a crazy week, in truth. I have my wife who's borderline influenza with her man flu or woman flu or some variant of flu or cold, but she's been in bits. The kids have it as well, so they've been coughing and spluttering and all sorts. And of course, because my wife is sick, I'm picking up and sort of holding the torch a little bit with all of that. Thankfully, our little baby, our little toddler didn't get it, but he's teething, so he's absolutely cranky like an antichrist as well. So I've kind of just been ladled and landed with all of that sort of stuff, and it hasn't been ideal for me either. I'm in the process of changing meds and doing all these kind of things, so my head has been absolutely melted with all of that. So the first few hours of the day are a write-off for me. So it wasn't looking good, to tell you the truth. About 6 or 8 hours ago, I was going through the run of the mill a little bit there, but we've gotten all that out of the way. Thankfully, I've reached this evening. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy. I've got the Relentless Gaze of my lights burning down on me, so it's a little bit warm in this room, and I can't open that window, of course, which is as a result of some audio issues in previous playthroughs. But speaking of which, very quickly here, you can probably see right here in shot on the on the cam, the face cam, I have my audio and lights and all sorts of rigging equipment. I mentioned this on the previous episode, so I now hopefully have something which is going to work for me. I've got that, as I say, off the table, which is where I sort of think that on the last playthrough some of that kind of that high pitched squealing sound was coming from. I do believe the sort of proximity to the wires and all of that stuff on the table. So that's up off the table. Got my light back up there. We've got the webcam and all the rest of it. So all the boom arms and the rigs and all that is set up pretty well. I've got my light plugged in. I can confirm my phone is 100% charged, which is the card cam on the table, which we'll get to momentarily as well. Anything else to talk about here before we get into the spirits and all of that? So before we start, we will of course go through. There's the card cam I was talking about. I've got the blinding glare in there. Hopefully there's no blinding glare on the table on any of that kind of stuff, but we shall see. Quickly moving on here, then we do of course have Relentless Gaze of the Sun, and as I'm speaking about Relentless Gaze, I'm going to pull my beer out of its little ice bucket over in the corner and get myself an old beverage. As I say, I've gone with a lager for today, Birra Moretti. It's an unfiltered Birra Moretti. If I pull that back there and have a little glance onto the camera there, it's Sal de Mar, which is a little bit of touch of sea salt apparently in this unfiltered lager. So I will absolutely admit I'm not the biggest fan of Birra Moretti. Not usually. But as I say, it's sorted a day for a lager, and I said I'd give this one a try. Hint of sea salt. Apparently, because it's unfiltered, it's that bit more cloudy and hopefully that bit more flavourful than a regular lager, which I like the sound of. I'll pour myself a glass of that. I'll get you back in the ice bucket. Keep you on ice for a little while later. Have a smell of that. That needed a second sip. Hey, that's not too bad. That's better than the regular beer Moretti. I will definitely say that. As I say, I'm not a fan of beer Moretti. And it's not a cheap beer either. You get it all the time in Italian restaurants, don't you? I don't know where you are in the world. I don't know whether that's something that you guys come across. We tend to get them in Italian restaurants, it being an Italian beer, of course. But I do prefer that. I think that's there's a little edge. There's a little bit of piney edge on that, which I think the sea salt, I can't quite pick out the salt, but there's something a little bit different in that, which brings out some flavors in there. So I think they've got something going pretty good there. It is the big bottle, so that'll keep us going for a little while, of course. Got the old sparkling water off to the side. We'll get to that in a moment. But look, let's jump in. We were going to talk about Relentless Gaze very quickly. Sorry, not that one. This one. So Gaze is going to be... It's going to be amazing, I hope, because I absolutely love this spirit. It is up there as one of my favourite spirits in this game. I don't think I've quite cracked this spirit just yet, despite the fact that I've picked up some pretty big wins. I think I have one, if not two, 6-6 wins with Gaze, so it's very, very powerful. But I don't know for certain exactly whether top or bottom or mixed track is exactly how to play this. So I don't, I think I mentioned before, tend to spend too much time kind of going through and sort of reading up on the quote-unquote correct way to play spirits, the templated way, of which there are many, of course, out there. So I tend to play spirits my own way, which is the way I like to enjoy this game. And I feel like every time I play Gaze, it goes a little bit differently and I'm pulled in a little bit of a different direction. And sometimes top track works extremely well. Other times bottom track works extremely well. And every time I play it, I sort of find myself saying, oh, right, this is how you do it. And then next time out, it goes completely differently. So, you know, that's kind of a little bit of a note on how my experience has gone with Gaze. But I do have a plan coming into this game here, and I do have a little bit of a strategy around HME, which is going to involve Relentless Gaze being the big hammer, because it's very, very good at dealing with built-up lands. So I'm going to look to Relentless Gaze to kind of get across the island and deal with the big lands, while Thunderspeaker Warrior aspect, which I'll get to momentarily, is going to be going around and doing little skirmishes and picking little bits and pieces off. So this is Gaze here. It has 4 uniques, of course, here with, Focus the Sun's Rays being a damage card. You've got this Unbearable Gaze here being your sort of control card. Your Withered Body Scars and Stones, it's kind of like your Badlands card, really. It's a little bit of a mix and match with damage and Badlands. And finally, you've got probably its best card, which is the Blinding Glare. And that's going to be its Ravage Skip. So, or indeed it's Invader Action Skip if you level it up enough. So that's going to be Gaze there. We're going to see how all that goes as we go along. Thunderspeaker, then, of course, everybody should probably be familiar with her at the if you're at all familiar with the game. Very much an iconic spirit. I say her, I should really say they. I do believe that the spirits of the game have no gender, per the kind of lore on the rule book, if I'm not mistaken. But it's easily done. Thunderspeaker, she or they is absolutely or are absolutely awesome. Fearsome leader of the Dahan that they are. It's just a wonderful story that's told through Thunderspeaker and all of the cards that they're on in the game. We've talked about them loads. We talked about Call to Bloodshed actually on the previous episode when we were going through the elements, and this aspect, which you can see here, is the warrior aspect. It's going to give us a little bit of a different take on Thunderspeaker, and a take which, to be honest, in truth, I haven't really taken to quite myself. I played it once, and I didn't really enjoy it all that much, I have to say. Now, looking back, I meant to check this before I started, but I think I threw the warrior aspect straight into a 6/6 in the height of my enthusiasm for those things several months back after I bought the box and opened up Nature Incarnate, so probably didn't give it the greatest chance, but what we're going to basically have here is the warrior aspect is going to replace that right innate, the Lead the Furious Assault innate. So it's going to remove that kind of big hammer, destroy buildings innate, and it's going to give you this more little pingy bits and pieces of damage ability. Which we'll get to in a second, after we also say that on the setup we're going to replace one of your presence with your Incarna and a and a Dahan. So I'll quickly show. I've placed that over here into land C3. So I've chosen that as my land to do that replacement, and that presence ends up leaving the game. So that's gone. And then the other thing it does is it's going to get rid of Manifestation of Power and Glory, which is I think I have here listed the real sort of famous iconic card of Thunderspeaker, which deals whole piles of damage. But that's gone, and it's been replaced with Call to Bloodshed. So this is it goes into your starting hand. So it gives you that sun and that fire element that replaces from the manifestation, and it's going to be a little damage pinger or a Dahan mover. And those things are going to be pretty nice in combination with this new ability, and that's going to give you when your actions move to hand and they bring the warrior Incarna with it, you can deal 1 damage at the Incarna, and that's after it has been moved. So that's not in the land it's leaving, it's in the land that it's going to, which will usually be sort of pushed from one land to another, but because of that left and 8 there with Gather the Warriors, you're allowed to do a gather and then a push. And I have checked the rules here, so you can deal the 1 damage with the Incarna here in either land, either the one that it's kind of en route in the middle where you do the kind of gather and push. You can do the ping into the middle land, or you can do the ping into the final destination land, but you cannot do the ping in the land that you're leaving, which is the sort of origin land, so to speak. I know I'm using the word origin incorrectly there because it's not quite the origin from a targeting perspective, but hopefully you understand what I mean. And the actual, the ability itself then is going to give you into a land with your warrior Incarna and a Dahan. You can do a fear and a ping of a damage for the first level, and then you can upgrade that damage and do extra damage per Dahan that you have there. So it gives you a slightly sort of reminiscent feel of Manifestation of Power and Glory, albeit at much lower damage amounts. You've also still got your sudden ambush, which could work quite well into this matchup with HME. You've got your Voice of Thunder, which moves things around, and you have your Words of Warning, which is your defend card. And I do believe this also could be very, very strong into HME. And so that's pretty much all of that. We'll have a quick look here at Habsburg Mining Expedition itself. We're not going to go through every word here. That's going to be for the podcast. But in just to give people a quick flavor of what we're doing in this game. If you don't know these already, you might be slightly lost because they are in fact probably the most complex of all of the adversaries, but I do love Habsburg Mining Expedition. Slightly fiddly, I will grant, but I love it all the same. And they've got a loss condition that's going to give you lose the game at the end of the fast phase if any land has at least 8 total invaders / blight combined. You've got this mining tunnel escalation, which is going to add some more explorers on the board. You have this as your sort of level 1 is the big deal here, which is the mining land. So we're going to be on the lookout for these lands that contain 3 invaders. That turns a land into a mining land, and then there are various effects then that happen throughout the game which are impacting with the mining land. As I say, I'm not going to go through all the details here because it is quite complex, and that is going to be for the podcast episode, but we're going to see that in play here with the mining lands. We're going to see them do all sorts of extra ravages because of that level 1. There's going to be a setup thing here with level 2, which I've already done. I've added all the explorers onto the board in lands with no Dahan, and of course got the extra city out there as well. And the mining boom then is going to be at level 5 rather than 3, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one. And that's going to happen, of course, after the build. And I do have my little remindery things over here to remind us of all of the things that are happening with this adversary. And there's a setup thing as well then with level 4, which is putting the actual salt deposits card, which is really, really iconic for them as well. So we'll see how that all plays out. And then finally, then we've got the level 6, which is pretty crippling, and it's going to be a big part of the reason why I am most likely going to be looking to blight this island loads really early, which is something I generally tend to do against HME if the sort of game plays out that way. I do, of course, need to be cognizant here of my Dahan, and I want to keep my Dahan on the board, so I'm not just going to let lands blight and throw away Dahan for no good reason. Thunderspeaker, of course, is not like throwing away Dahan, and that's something we, of course, do need to keep an eye on. Just what I mentioned there is, of course, Thunderspeaker's rule, where for each Dahan destroyed by invaders during a ravage land, I have to destroy presence within range 1 of that. So of course here we need to be very careful of that. on the Thunderspeaker side, but I think generally speaking, what I was talking about from a strategy perspective here, I've set myself up on the board where I have Thunderspeaker. I've chosen this land here, which is land 3. I could have chosen the land 5, so they're the 2 lands that Thunderspeaker is going to start in, with the 2 lands that contain 2 Dahan. If I had have chosen this land, I'd be more situated for my board over here, but I'd be a little bit further away from this side of the board. So I'm very much thinking right off the bat from a strategic perspective here, this is not going to be a game of your board and my board. Admittedly, I very rarely do that anyway in any game of Spirit Island, but particularly here, as I say, it's going to be the sort of responsibility of Sun to get out there and deal with the big lands, and then let Thunderspeaker deal with the smaller lands, and that's very much a strategic intent here for Habsburg Mining Expedition. They tend to be susceptible to small things, which I think the warrior aspect could be good here. Pinging and moving like one explorer can be very powerful into HME, and we'll see how that plays out throughout the game. So that's going to be more the responsibility of Thunderspeaker, and as I say, Gaze comes in and just does big, massive 10, 12 points of damage in big lands and just kind of clears out some of the big problems, of which there will be some as well. That tends to be how I play them, the HME. I let one land go to hell, I let it build up an almost lost condition, and then I'll clear it out when I need to. And I do that so that I can keep a lot of the other lands smaller and under control, and it'll give us leverage then to kind of turn the corner when it comes to that salt deposits card, which we see later on. But anyway, that's all of that. We're 16 minutes in. That's the intro. We're going to go ahead and we're going to flip over the opening Explorer here. It's going to be into mountains, and do note here, I'll quickly bring up the adversary panel again here. This does happen during setup, so this is going to be basically on boards with 3 or fewer blight, which we're trying to overcome that as soon as we can. Every explorer is going to add an additional explorer in the land that it successfully explores into. So we're going to come back here, and I'm going to explore, so it's going to be 1 and 2 in there, and that's going to be a big problem land. And I actually did a mistake during setup. That's supposed to take an extra disease, so is that one over there. So that's part of the setup, which I hadn't quite carried out yet. So we're immediately going to be ravaging up in that corner, albeit removing the disease to skip the first ravage. We're going to go 2 explorers down there. We're going to go 2 explorers up there, and we're going to go 2 explorers down in here. So I have to imagine this is among our worst explorer cards to hit. We are hitting 2 out of the 4 city lands on this board. So if we had to hit jungle, we would have been in the money, because there's almost nothing from a building perspective there. Each of the sands and the wetlands both had a single city each, and of course we've hit the mountains, which contains 2 of the city lands, and we're going to be sort of removing 2 of those disease to kind of stop that ravage on the first turn. So a little bit tricky, let's say, in terms of being able to stop those lands. Now we do have a very good target for our defend 3 right off the bat there. The words of warning from Thunderspeaker is going to do good work into that land C3. So that's clearly a kind of a solve setup for the next turn. But again, just to reiterate on my intent here, I'm usually looking to blight as early as I can with this particular adversary. So that's a land I'm going to have to defend, and it's fine. I can defend it. I've got the words of warning set up for that on turn 2. But I kind of want to be blighting. I'm trying to avoid my lands with the hand as much as I can here. So I've obviously hit a land that contains 2 of the 4 are lands I'm going to want to defend here, which is probably about average. I'd say probably 2 out of 4 is almost the case for all of our terrain types there. So in that front, that's not exactly unlucky, but again, that's what we're going to be looking to do here. So I'm going to take all my cards back. I'm going to get my cards in my hand here, and I'm going to kind of look at exactly how I'm going to approach this setup here. So we know, as I say, that the words of warning is very much there for this land on turn 2. So that's already solved there. That's going to build a town, and then it's going to ravage next turn for 4. I've got to defend a 3 in there, and that all should be pretty fine. Thunderspeaker, of course, opens with one card play. You don't have a card gain option until you reclaim. So that's the other aspect of Thunderspeaker. So I'm going to basically be looking here to go most likely a single card or 2 card plays on turn 1, 2 card plays on turn 2. Probably I could, potentially look to run down that bottom track, underplay with 1 card on turn 1 and then play 3 cards on turn 2. That's another sort of way to go about doing things with Thunderspeaker here. There's lots of different kind of approaches. Again, I don't really sort of know or subscribe to one way. I've always found in the past that playing Thunderspeaker is a little bit case by case basis. Top and bottom track I found both tend to be pretty good. I do sort of generally tend to find that Thunderspeaker is a bit of a hybrid build, mixed build type of a spirit. You are looking at picking up that second energy node on the top track when you're playing with base because of Manifestations of Power of Glory in particular. That's a card that generally is quite energy hungry. So I sort of thought about coming into this game that bottom track would probably be more of a focus for me for that reason, because I don't have the manifestation, and also because, as I say, the strategy in this game is to give Thunderspeaker as many little bits and pieces of actions as I can. So generally in this game, I'm thinking more like Sun is going top track and majors, and Thunderspeaker is going bottom track and minors. That's the general approach. We'll see how that plays out here on this particular first turn of the game. And the other thing as well that I sort of had coming in, and I generally do have coming in with Gaze, is I like to play the withered body, scars and stones as early as I can, get it out of my hand and forget it. I think this is your worst card, generally speaking. I think the withered bodies and the scarred stones here, if I just quickly bring up the card on the not the card cam, just quickly bring up the card here. It's your add a Badlands card, as I say, and I'd like to be able to get this out and get a Badlands or 2 onto the board and then forget this to a major, because it's very expensive. It costs 1. You don't really want to be repeating 1-cost cards with Sun. If you can, you'd rather repeat your 0-cost cards. So which is why I prefer generally the 2 zeros in your hand. So the Focus, the Suns and the Blinding Glare are generally for me quite a lot better than the other 2, even though the other 2 cards are pretty good. Like Unbearable Gaze is a good card, but it costs 1, and repeating this with the repeat mechanic with Gaze is generally very expensive. So that's kind of my sort of baseline thoughts before I really address the board here. Just wanted to get some of those kind of thoughts around how I see the spirit and how I generally play the spirit. So let's kind of think about that then. I think the 2 big lands here I'm almost certainly letting go. So they're going to remove the disease each on the first turn, because they're both going to try to ravage. The disease gets removed, and then on the second turn I'm going to let both of them go. So that's 2 blight onto the board. That's fine. I'm not looking to go and clear that out in the slow phase of this turn or anything like that. So that's all okay. As I say, so that means I'm not looking to Blinding Glare anytime soon here, realistically. I am, most likely looking to Withered Bodies and Scar Stones. This land up here, land 7, I'd like to let it blight, but it contains a Dahan, so it could be that I try to get that Dahan out of there with Thunderspeaker and just let the land blight. I think that is probably what I'd like to do up there. Using Thunderspeaker's innate power, I can just gather that away. I can, I don't know whether there's no real way to pair it up except for up here. We'd like to be able to, if we could, pair that Dahan with that Dahan there for event reasons with I can't remember the name of the event, but there's one iconic event that converts buildings if they're or converts Dahan if they're alone and next to a city. So I would like to get that out of there if I can, and pair it up if possible. But pairing it up right now, putting into this land with 4 is not really particularly enticing. The Sudden Ambush then I think is more of a turn 2 play, because this is the card that's going to let me pick off Explorers. And potentially control how they're ravaging. So that could be something that I look to do on the second turn. The Voice of Thunder then in that case is potentially going to be where we hear is just a way to kind of move the hand around. Again, I'm not looking to exactly do anything by moving any amount of the hand around here particularly. I'm also looking at the innate, and I'm thinking of my 4 cards, only 2 of them have a fire. So that fire is going to be a little bit tricky to come by with Thunderspeaker here. We do of course have a fire on the top track there, the third note on the top track, but as I say, I'd be looking a little bit more to go along the bottom track in this game. So it's kind of feeling this all out a little bit here, just at the moment. Again, as I said before, I like to do this in the first turn just to really kind of take stock, see where I am, see how I'd like to strategize for the whole game, and that usually sets me up then for kind of moving forward. So we know for sure that we're going to hit the words of warning on turn 2. The warrior aspect then, 1 fear if buildings are present and 1 damage. So like, that's, you know, potentially going in and picking off an explorer somewhere. But to do that, I'd need to pick up the sudden ambush and the call to bloodshed together, which I could do on potentially the first turn, but I don't. So if I look at this for a moment, one thing I can do is I can spike my energy with growth 3. So this is an option. I can spike that right there, and that'll give me enough. That'll give me 5 energy, play 3 of it here, and I'd have plenty of energy to play these 2 next turn, and then reclaim and have enough to play my hand on the reclaim. So what I'm thinking here is this, right? Potentially spike that energy there and remove from the bottom track. Gives me 5 energy. 3 of it goes there, 2 in the pool. Next turn then I was thinking about going this and then 2 from the bottom track again. And that puts me up to 3 card plays. I can play, obviously only 2, it's underplaying, but then on the reclaim I have 3 card plays. And as I said, I'd have 2 in the pool, that would give me 1 more next turn, that's 3 energy for next turn. I'd only be spending 1 of it, so I'd be reclaiming, getting 1 more energy, so I'd basically be reclaiming with 3 energy, which is loads, and that gives me plenty of options. It gives me 3 card plays. I could pick up 2 miners on my reclaim, and that would allow me to rush bottom track again. It would allow me to go top track. I'd have basically 6 cards, and I'd have a lot of flexibility and a lot of options, and as I say, extra card plays to kind of get about this island and start kind of figuring stuff out. So that's a way to go about doing this. And what I can do here by doing it this way is I can pair these 2 cards right now. What I can do is I can actually use the sudden ambush over here, pull a Dahan in, and destroy the 2 explorers over on that land. Now that's a way to kind of solve that land. I don't love solving lands this early against HME, which is why I'm hesitant here. Under basically any other circumstance, this you'd snap that off. It would look like a fantastic play. But in this case, I'm a bit hesitant to actually go and solve that land right now. You know, I could, for example, gather 1 of these Dahan in there, take the 2 out, and it would look really good. And this would also give me then a slow phase, call to bloodshed, and warrior, and of course my gather the warrior. So I'd kind of have a way to do 2 movement of my what do you call it here, my Incarna, or I could kind of go ahead and maybe move it once and then use the call to bloodshed to kind of deal some damage somewhere else. But again, that's me solving more lands, which is leading to less blight hitting the board. This isn't how I usually play this spirit, as I say, or this adversary, as I said at the start. And I wanted to get that out up front because I'm a big advocate for thinking on your toes, right? My intent coming into this game was let this island blight as soon as possible, flip the blight card most likely, accept that the blight cards flip and turn off HME 6. But as I'm looking at this board right now, it's sort of working out where it might be better to just play it this way. Get the value from the double fire. Get the value from the kind of the rundown bottom track that I'm looking at right now. unlock the 3 plays early, accept that there's going to be a couple of extra turns that I'm going to double explore, which I'm not really happy about, but I just accept it and move on from there. So I think this is looking like a pretty good turn, I think, on this side of Thunderspeaker. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Obviously, that will go back there. That was just to kind of indicate my intent. That's going to be a G3. That's going to give me add a presence at range 1, which is going to be from the bottom track, as I say, plus 4 energy. So it'll be 1 from top and 4 from the growth option. So it's 1 from there, 4 more goes into the pool, and then I'm going to spend 2 and 1 and use that as my kind of as my growth. Now, where do I go then at range 1? So I don't have any need for a sacred site, so that's fine. What I'm looking to do here is obviously optimize for Call to Bloodshed and the Gather the Warriors, giving me as many options as I can to start moving this incarnate around. So, you know, if I start moving across the island a little bit here, that gives me ways to kind of gather and move and push across into this side of the board if I need to do that way. So I think I'm most likely going to grow across here, maybe into this land. I'll do that in a moment. I'm going to come over here and choose my turn with Gaze. So as I said, Blinding Glare we don't need. Focus the Sun's Rays, I tend to wait until after I've played the Withered Body, so I get some extra Badlands on the board, and then play the Focus the Sun Rays. So that comes after the Withered Bodies here. So it's going to be either the Withered Bodies or the Unbearable Gaze. Again, do I need to solve a land with Unbearable Gaze? Not exactly. You know, I could solve, of course, what's about to explore here. So I could have an explore. You know, could go like, you know, double explore into one of these jungles. That would give me an option to Unbearable Gaze into one of the jungles there. So, or of course into the sands on the coast here. So that gives me kind of, you know, 3 out of the 4 terrain types, a pretty good option with those, with this card. Again, am I looking to solve lands that early? No, not exactly. I think I'd rather get the Badlands out with the Withered Bodies and Scarred Stones. And what also it allows me to do, if I play this turn, I could potentially combo the Withered Bodies with the Call to Bloodshed or the Warrior aspect from Thunderspeaker. So using this kind of slow phase, wait for the Explorer, suss out the board, and then maybe combo the Badlands with the damage powers of Thunderspeaker, which is what I talked about before. So that's where I'm landing right now. It's taken me half an hour to get to finishing my growth on the first turn, but you know, as I say, we've done the intro, we've done the kind of strategy for the game. I can already feel this taking shape. Hopefully the rest of you at home are starting to see my vision on how all this is going to look. So the last question then is going to be, so I know I'm going top track, that's for sure. We're definitely adding a presence, so that's going to go from there, and that's going to give us 2 energy on the top track, and it's going to give us a sun element. That is going to give us the top level of this innate, and that's all we're going to get in terms of innates this turn. We know that. But the question is going to be then, am I gaining a power, or am I doing the double gain energy? If I do the double gain energy, that will give me 4 energy, and it would allow me to add 2 Badlands with the Withered Bodies. It's going to cost me 1 to play it once, and then the second time I play it, it's going to cost me the 1 again plus the additional usage of the turn, which is how the let's just quickly bring up the Relentless Gaze here. You see the innate power. So when you use it, if you had at least 3 in the origin land, which we will, you can repeat it any number of times on the same land by paying the energy cost of the power, which in this case will be 1 plus 1 energy per previous use, and I'll only be doing this once, so it'll be 1 previous use, which would end up costing me a total of 3 energy in this case. So I can do the spike, I can get the 3 energy, and that'll give me 2 Badlands on the board, and that could be really, really good, because I've mentioned before already, the Focus of Sun Rays really wants Badlands. And I think Thunderspeaker really wants Badlands in this case as well. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that spike over here, because we're always doing the add presence, and then we pick one of the others, which is going to be this, and that is going to give me the 4 energy. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be 1 on there, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put the 2 there so that we know that's kind of the situation there. That is going to go into that land, and now I'm going to be allowed to move up to 3 presents together, and I can move them up to range 3. So anywhere on this board I'd like to, I can get to a range 3. And what I'm looking at right now is this is the left and 8. The left and 8 is going to let me move all of my presents from the origin land directly to target land, and then deal a single ping of damage to towns or build or cities only. So again, I could combo this with the Badlands I'm about to play on this turn, which is another, again, in a regular game, what I might think about doing in this case is, oh, you know, I can jump across maybe in here and I can start to add Badlands and deal some damage and those kind of things. But I'm not necessarily looking to solve stuff right now as such. However, it still would be pretty nice to give myself the option to combo the Badlands here with the innate. So I would like to at least give myself a shot at killing a city if I can. You know, I'm not saying, don't get me wrong here, we're not coming into this matchup and going, I never want to kill anything, right? That's clearly not the case. So, you know, if I don't need the Badlands with Thunderspeaker, depending on the Explorer, I might look to go ahead and just combo the double Badlands with the innate and pick off a city. So with that being said, then moving myself to a situation where I can move in and kill a city is probably pretty good news. So where am I looking to do that then in that case? So I could jump into this land here, which gives me access to either the mountain or the wetlands, but we know we're not going to move into the wetlands. If I move into that wetlands, I'm just going to be taking a blight from the Ravage. So this isn't going to be the city that I look to solve, that's for sure. Moving in here gives me access to this if I want to go ahead and solve that city there. I can also, of course, we're going to have the HME mining boom, which is going to give us more buildings on the board, not cities necessarily, but we could have 2 more towns in one of these particular lands situated around us. So that's something where, you know, we have to be cognizant of. I might choose one of these other lands and then it could go ahead and get in and kill a town, for example, in one of those lands. But I think giving myself a chance at that city over there is probably not a bad idea. So moving all of these in here is a way to go about doing that. That gives me access to 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only 4 actually. It's not a great land from a range perspective. It's okay. Two, 3, 4. I mean, that land up there gives me access to 5 lands. And it still gives me a shot at getting in and killing that city. We know we don't need access to that land though. So I think ultimately I may just keep that there. Yeah, because we know that land's out of play, and we know that land's out of play in a sense as well. So I think I'll just leave those there. There is a potential for moving across, as I say, onto this side of the board, give myself access to that city. Which might be a thing. Do need to consider the fact as well that I'll be looking for a major next turn. And a major next turn might give me access to something as well over here. But again, I'm not looking to solve either of these 2 lands, and these 2 are going to be solved already. So I think, look, that's the decision. That's the decision made. I'm going over there. I've got one of the pool. We are hitting that top level of that innate there. We're not hitting any more of those innates over here. On the side of Thunderspeaker, then we know we're hitting that level of that innate. We are, of course, hitting that level of that innate as well, which is slow because we don't have the 4 air. And let's go ahead and just before we actually resolve our fast powers, we'll take a quick sip of beer, and then we'll go and we'll sudden ambush. Sudden ambush is going to be oh yeah, interesting. Okay, hadn't really thought about this, but of course over here when I sudden ambush, so you may gather at the hand. So I'm gonna gather that to hand in there to pair up with that one at least. That gathers in there. When I pull that in, I can actually pull in the Incarna as one of my presents, right? Because obviously Thunderspeaker, your presence may move with the hand. So I'm moving the hand, which allows me to move one presence. That pulls in the Incarna. Then in the warrior ability here, it says when your actions move the hand and they bring the Incarna, which they did, you may deal 1 damage at the Incarna. Now that comes in there and it pings 1. The ability itself destroys, was going to allow me to destroy 2 anyway. So that's okay. There's nothing really extra happening, but just to kind of get us familiar with how this ability works. So that's going to kill those 2 explorers, and now the Incarna is going to be situated slightly better for this side of the board to go ahead and start potentially pinging on those kind of things over there. We didn't, of course, place the presence from Thunderspeaker, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm just wondering whether we've enough going on over on this side of the board that maybe I want to keep my presence over on here. That's just potentially something to look at. But now I've already got 1 presence over there. I think I'm going to go in there in that land. So that's at range 1 into that land there, and then I'm gonna pull over. So I'm starting to kind of spread across, but I'm going into a land with the hand, which of course gives me a little bit more flexibility for how I move stuff and those kind of things. So that's where I'm placing the presence. All the rest is going to be slow, as I say. We're going to go ahead and we're going to flip an event card in the first turn. We're not going to resolve it, of course. It's promising farmland. So that's all okay on that side of things. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the invader phase. So there's no ravaging here. That's fine. Or sorry, there is ravaging. What am I talking about? But it's happening in the build step. So the ravage space is obviously empty here. Then we're going to go to the build. While we're in the build, then we've got this other ability that's going to make the both of these ravage, and those disease get removed as a result. And then this one is going to try build. It's empty. And then this one is going to try build, and it builds a town. That's now a mining land, but for this circumstance, it's not really going to matter. Next thing that we're going to do is, after we do the build, we have to do the mining boom. That's going to force us to upgrade on build and upgrade on both sides of the island. Let's just quickly have a look at it here. It's level 5 HME. After the build step on each board, choose a land with an explorer, build there, and then upgrade one of the explorers. So I think I'm just going to stick to the big problem lands that I talked about before. So on this side of the board, I'm going to build and then upgrade this. So that's going to be a town, and then it's going to be another town, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When it ravages, is going to put me up to 6 towards the loss condition, which I'm completely fine with as of the moment. And over here now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be an extra invader if I do it in that land over there, but I'll probably still do it. That's going to put me up to 7 in that case over there, and I'm still okay with that. You get less wrecked against HME because the event happens after the end of the fast phase. So if you get evented in this case and you get kind of edge case and it pushes you over the limit, you don't lose automatically. It's not until the next turn, which is why I tend to be a little bit more fast and loose with these things. Now the only thing to bear in mind here in this case is if we start to run into a problem where we hit the stage 2 hits mountain, I'll have 2 big problem lands to solve from sun, which is potentially an issue here. I don't love making my 2 big problem lands the same terrain type, but otherwise in this case it'll just be picking off one of these other lands and kind of guessing. Whereas now I know this is a problem. I think I'm just gonna build in there and upgrade this into a thing and keep that to be a big problem land that we talked about before. So that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's going to blight and it's going to go up to 7 there in that case, and that should be okay for now. So that's that. Now we're going to explore, and we're going to explore into jungles. So had I, of course, picked this one at random or this one at random, we'd be facing a lot more of a problem there, as I said before. So of course, we are going to explore with 2 explorers in this case, in every one of these lands. And we said before that jungles was going to be our nice explorer as opposed to mountains being our bad explorer. So we've kind of hit the plus and minus in that case. We've hit the kind of the bad case and the good case. So that should average out, I would say, as about even, which I'm happy enough with. So that's all that exploring done. Now we're in the slow phase. So now we've got to think about, okay, well, where do we do these little bits and pieces that we talked about before? So again, what are we trying to solve, and what are we not trying to solve? So, for example, I can gather some Dahan from there into there, pull across my Incarna, ping one of them, and then use my warrior aspect to ping the other one, and I can solve that land. Okay? That's one thing I can do, which would cost me my Call to Bloodshed. Actually, it wouldn't cost me my Call to Bloodshed. It would use my innate power if I wanted. I could innate power over there. Because of course this is one of my presents. So in range 1, I can gather in there. It's gather 1 per air and push 1 per sun, and I have 1 of each of those elements. So I can just go gather in there, pull my warrior aspect in. It pings 1 when it goes in there, and then I use the warrior innate to ping the other one. Problem solved. Maybe let this go then, because this is a land which I can allow to blight twice now. So when it goes to build, it will ravage. Place a blight. Then, of course, the ravage is going to place a blight here. So that's going to be 3 blight. And then we will HME 6 again in there next turn, but that'll be the last time it happens, because after that, when we ravage in jungles, this will place the 4th blight, and of course it doesn't cascade because of HME, so that will put us up to the 4 blight on that board. That reaches a threshold on that board, and then that's that kind of HME 6 problem solved for that side of the board. So I can solve this land up here, let it, make that not be a problem, and protect my Dahan up there, and still reach the threshold that we were talking about of blight, of 4 blight on that board. So that's a way to go about doing that. That, of course, will take 3 blight, which is 3 of the 5 on the card. So that'll only leave us 2 blight, and it would mean if we want to do the same thing on this side of the board, we would have to flip the card. So it could be in this game as well, and this is another way to approach HME, where you may decide to go all in on blight on one board, one tile, or multiple tiles, let's say, in a bigger game, and then maybe protect a couple of the tiles. So some of your tiles will go blighted early, or some of your tiles will, let's say, reach the 4th blight early, and then some of them you keep clean. So it averages out enough to keep the island or the card from flipping, but then you protect a few of your boards from the HME 6. So that might be how I go about doing this. The other thing here that I could do is, of course, we're going to take a blight here. That puts us up to 2 total. We're going to take a ravage here. That will put us up to 3 total. And then we could take a ravage in that one, and that will put us up to 4 total. So I have the same sort of pattern on this side of the board as well, which if I do that same sort of pattern over there, I would, as I say, flip the blight card, but I would sort of insulate myself from the HME 6, and we need to turn that off before we start running into the salt deposits card, which we'll get to later. So I don't really want to keep my island healthy here. As I say, I'm usually happy to flip the blight card, provided that the game goes the right way, and as I'm looking at it right now, I have a pattern that sort of allows me to do that. So I think I most likely will. So the question then becomes, so I can solve that one up there using the 2 cards I have in front of me. What I can do is, yeah, I got stung here a little bit. Not stung, but I was hoping, as I said, to try combo something of the Thunderspeakers cards with the Badlands of Gaze, but I'm on the wrong side of the board to do that. So if I was over here on this side of the board, or if indeed I was actually, if I just left my presence where it was at the start of the game, which I have considered, I would now be able to reach over into this land and put some Badlands in there, and then solve it with my Call to Bloodshed at range 1. Right now I can only do 1 damage per Dahan, and there's only 1 Dahan in there, so I can't actually deal 2 damage in there with the Call to Bloodshed, which is unfortunate. However, no. Well, actually, I can do it. Do this slightly in a slightly different order. So what I can do is I can put the Badlands in this land. I don't love doing this because it puts my Badlands up away in the corner, and I need to find my way into that land with the focus to pull them out, which I don't love. So in advance, I don't love this, but I can do it. I can go double Badlands up in there, and then I can... Oh no. I've only got 2 to hand move powers. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. Yeah, slightly awkward positioning here, because I was going to say I could pull another to hand, maybe pull that in there, and then use the Call to Bloodshed. So I can do that on that side of the board with 2 powers, but then I don't have my warrior in the correct land. The other thing I can do here is I can use Withered Bodies to just place 1 Badlands and then deal a ping of damage to solve that land, which I really don't love doing, because that puts me 1 Badlands less, and I need those Badlands quite a bit for the Focus the Sun's Rays, so I'm not in love with doing that at all. But it does at least solve the 2 lands that I talked about, which is something. And once I flip, needless to say, the 4 blight on each island tile, and I flip the blight card. Now I want to stop adding blight altogether. And Sun, of course, does add blight with their abilities, which is another thing to consider with Sun as well. They can add blight and use that towards the HME blight thresholds without necessarily taking a ravage. But we've got a kind of setup here that allows the ravages to naturally get us to where we need to be, which in a sense will allow us to play ahead of the invaders. So I can kind of just leave. If I solve these 2 lands right now, I can then leave the other 2 jungles, not worry about them, and I can start to play ahead of tempo in a sense, which is why I'm really strongly considering doing this, because it allows me to just start focusing on whatever this land is when it explores, either sands or wetlands. And they become my priority lands after that, and I just let the rest of it go. So that is kind of why I'm really strongly considering doing this. Just if I do that other play I talked about, I actually waste the warrior ability. So it's total madness to just waste that warrior ability. Surely that's insane. I can't do that. Surely can't do that. Man, it's warm in this room as well. I did think it was gonna be a warm evening in here, and oh boy, it is. I'm feeling the focus of the sun's rays here. Let me tell you that. So I nearly have something here. I just don't quite have it. Just don't quite have it. Call to Bloodshed in there, ping a single Explorer. It still builds though. That's the problem with doing that play. I could think about how Unbearable Gaze helps me next turn, because Unbearable Gaze in theory could solve that land a different way. But again, we talked about like wasting the warrior ability if I'm not pushing this right now. It's just a total waste of that ability, and God, I hate wasting abilities. I spent my sort of invested a lot of time and thought into getting the warrior ability. So throwing it away here seems just crazy. So I don't really like doing that at all. But I could put the Badlands in this land and then push the warrior into that land and use that to kill a city. And then push my presence in there and clear that land, which sounds pretty fine. And then on the next turn, use Unbearable Gaze in that land. So dig for a major, but don't play it next turn and play the Unbearable Gaze instead. And I can actually Unbearable Gaze to solve that land with just one play of the card without having to repeat it, which would be really nice. And that lets me save my energy. So in that way, I still get to... What do I still get to do? Yeah, I still don't get to do this. So my warrior ability... Actually, yeah, so I have the warrior in 8 as well. So yeah, it's a pity. Yeah, me just pushing my presence into that land. If it has 2 Badlands, immediately does a... kills the city, and then I get to warrior and kill the other 2 invaders in there, which is fantastic. So that's got to be how I combo that with the Badlands here, and then it stops me putting the Badlands right in the corner, which is also quite nice. So that can kind of clear that wetland. So that's got to be a good play there. But that requires the use of my innate and the warrior ability. I haven't solved that land at that point, and it forces me to use the Unbearable Gaze next turn, but that's okay, I think. And then on this side of the board, I can just call to Bloodshed in there and ping one of those explorers. It builds next turn when I play these 2, and then when I reclaim, I can use my defend in that land and do it that way. So that, I think, is the play. Though if I'm going to use the defend in that case, then am I just better off pulling some Dahan in there right now as opposed to pinging the single explorer, so that the defend counters. So it'll be basically 1-2, builds a town, goes up to 4 points of attack power essentially, and then by the time I reclaim the defend 3 in the land, and I can defend the land from the ravage with the defended 3 on a thing of 4. And the other thing that I can do in that case is then I get to pair these to hand here. So now I only have one single land on the board that's at risk from the cultural assimilation, is the card I couldn't remember earlier. So that's all fine. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use this call to bloodshed to actually gather you in there, pair up those to hand, and I feel better about those to hand being gathered on that side of the board. Then on this side of the board, as I say, with the withered bodies, I'm going to use this twice to add 2 Badlands at range 2. In there is going to be a range 2. So that all goes in there. The only other thing to consider here is that I actually then don't have my my innate. My innate gets wasted, which is super frustrating. Ooh, it doesn't. It doesn't. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. No, it doesn't. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. No, we have it. We have it. I believe. I think I have it. I don't quite have it. I almost have it. I almost have it. I'll show you what I was thinking there. So the Unbearable Gaze, I think I'll still need. I thought I didn't have to use the Unbearable Gaze. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're doing the same thing. We're adding the 2 Badlands in here. Now what I'm doing is I still have my innate here and I still have the warrior aspect. The innate now, as I say, can do a gather and a push. So in this case, I can go gather up to 1. I'm going to gather 2 this way. Oh yeah, well, it's slightly different, but I can still do this. So I'm going to gather 2. No, I can't. I can gather only 1. Oh. I don't want to unpair them, is the thing. But what I can do is what I was thinking about was gather 1, and then I can push in there, but I can do the ping and the damage en route, and then I get to go up in there and then ping that guy. But now I've unpaired my hand, which I'm not in love with. What I can just do is gather in there and then ping back there, but I still waste my warrior aspect. But it lets me do the ping of damage in there. I can still move my presence in with Sun, but it pushes me in there, and I don't really want to go in there. That's the thing I'm thinking. So I think I'll just unpair these. Don't love it, but it is what it is. I'll unpair them. I'll bring that in there, and that en route is going to ping. When I land in there, it's going to ping, and it's going to kill that city. Okay, so that's going to be 2 fear. Then I've got my warrior innate, which is going to be 1 fear if buildings are present, and then 1 damage, which is going to deal 3 more damage in there. That's going to kill this town and this explorer, and it's going to deal 2 total points of damage. And now I've got my Sun ability, which is going to let me move somewhere. And again, I'm kind of wasting. So this is all quite inefficient, and I don't love this. How this is all kind of come together has ended up a little bit inefficient here, but it sort of is what it is. Oh, do you know what? I need to Unbearable Gaze from there next turn anyway to have access to this land. So, okay. So let's slightly change this then. I will... So when I pulled in with the innate, with the Gather the Warriors, I'm going to pull in and I'm going to push in here instead. Okay? That's the first thing I'm going to do. I am going to do the ping en route. So the 1 damage, as I said, can be done in either this land or this land. So the 1 damage stays the same. That still goes in there and it deals 3. But I don't use the innate in that land. I use the innate in this land. So I need to basically undo 2 fear there. I'm going to put the explorer and the town back. I'm going to kill them now in a second. But I just want to show from a fear perspective here. So now in this land, I'm going to deal 1 damage, but I don't gain the fear because there's no town there. So I'm going to kill this. That explorer is dead, and now I'm in here instead. Now I'm going to use the Sun ability, the innate, and that moves all 3 of them in there. And I'm going to deal 1 damage to. Oh yeah, that's to buildings only. Well, in that case, then when I came through with the warrior moving across, I pinged the explorer and I did 2 to the city. So it all works out that I still deal a full total of 6 damage in there, but of course I can't deal it with Sun to the explorer. So slightly reverse how it does. They still both die. They all die. That dies, and now that generates 1 fear. So I'm 1 fear less with this way because I didn't get it from the innate from the warrior, but now I clear that land and my Sun's presence is in the right place for targeting that land with the Unbearable Gaze next turn, and it's in the right place for the focus the Sun's rays if I would choose to do that, because you want to be in the land with the bad land. So I think this all works out pretty okay. All of that is done. We're going back to growth, and we've now figured out, generally speaking, how all of these things work. So hopefully our game is going to go a little bit faster. We're now an hour into the episode, and we've just finished the first turn, which isn't particularly ideal, but it's just one of them things. This is going to be our discard pile, the withered bodies. I'll put it off to the side here because I'll leave it here for now. So that's all that. We have, generally speaking, as I say, a plan for how the next couple turns are going to go. So hopefully that's all going to work a little bit faster. So let's go ahead then, and on this side of the board, we're going to go gain a power card. We know that, and we know we're going to look for a major. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in this case here, and it's going to be Oh yes, it's Exaltation of the Incandescent Sky. I'm going to very quickly just go ahead and throw that straight into the card cam for no particular reason at all, and I'll keep reading the other cards that I've drawn. It's Storm Swath, which is also not a terrible one. It's Flow Like Water, Reach Like Air, and it's Tiger's Hunting. So we have some pretty interesting cards here. I would say Tiger's Hunting is also certainly not a bad card. Here it gives us the sun, and it gives us access to a moon, which we would really like access to because of the innate from the right hand side, innate should I say, to stop us adding blight. So Tiger's Hunting is a good card, but it is no Exaltation of the Incandescent Sky. Let me tell you, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, spirits of all ages, this is my favorite major power in the whole deck. It is fantastic. Have a look at this. It's gonna be oh, my thing is a little bit off. Let me see if I can turn that and make that just a tiny bit more straight. There we go. Can I straighten that back up? There it is. It's going to be target spirit may play 1 power card by paying its cost. Make up to 2 of their powers fast this turn and do 3 damage in 1 of their lands, and you may do likewise. And then if you've got this threshold, which I might be able to hit this game potentially with Sun, who knows, because it's my elements for sure. You do in any 4 lands in the island, skip an invader action and 5 fear. This card wins the game. If you threshold this, it wins the game. It's absolutely broken, and it is a fantastic card. I've been screaming that this card is S tier for a long time. People didn't really want to hear me on that particular aspect of things, but I just think it's wonderful. It's so much fun to play with, and I was thinking the other day, I wonder how long it'll be before I get an exaltation on the channel. So we do have, of course, the option of Tigers Hunting here, which is going to be another strong option, as I say. A little bit more difficult to threshold this one because, of course, I don't have the three animal. I don't have any animal on any of my cards, so this card is certainly significantly better if you can threshold it. Good card, definitely, and especially because I'm playing with Badlands. This is a strong option. Tigers Hunting is a strong card, but I can't turn down the exaltation right now. It is just a broken card, especially when I'm playing with Sun, who gets access to potentially lots and lots of energy. I just can't do it. I can't turn it down. It's just too strong. So I will be taking the exaltation, and I won't be playing it this turn. As we said, I have a plan for the turn. So the gain of power card and the added presence. The added presence is going there. The gain of power is going into my hand. I'm forgetting the withered bodies, of course, because we already talked about that. So that's gone. And then this turn, I'm going to gain 3. 1, 2, 3. And I am going to play the Unbearable Gaze that we talked about. And I only need to play this once to gain access to that land over there. So that's going to be all really good stuff. That is going to give me a sun and a fire. So I'm going to be using up some of my fire here, and I'm not going to get access to the 3rd level of this innate just quite yet. The 2nd level. So I'm still only here on the 1st level on that side, but that's okay. Got my 1, got my 3. That solves this land. So let's go ahead and place one of you over there. Because of course that's going to let me push 2 explorer / towns, push the town, push the explorer, get them both out of there, and then I can just let that thing ravage with 1 explorer on the following turn. Unless I hit the back-to-back. No. I won't do the back-to-back yet. It's the stage 2 card is coming after this. So that's all fine. So that should be a safe land up there. We're letting that one go, as we said. And then this one, as we said, is going to be solved by Thunderspeaker on the reclaim after the fact. So that's all good stuff there. Now, Thunderspeaker, we know what we're doing. We already talked about it. We're going G2, which is going to be bottom. That's going to give us two presence into lands with Dahan. It's going to give us 1 energy from the top. And then we already have, of course, 2 in the pool. So that goes there. These 2 now need to... so I'm range 1 into that land, which is going to be defend a 3 that we're going to put there. That's going to go defend a 3 in there. We can already access it, given our placements of our presence at the moment, which is all fine. Do we have any reason to be range 0 here? No. Manifestation of Power and Glory is generally the reason to be range 0 for the most part, or at least think about getting your presence into a particular land, and that, of course, is a card we don't have access to, so that's all pretty okay. We might look to pick up a Sacred Side card on the reclaim when we look to pick up some miners on the reclaim, but again, that's all pretty fine, I think. We could get edge cased here on this particular Ravage, which wouldn't be fun. And if we get edge cased, So if that goes +1 damage, we would lose a single to hand. We're already gonna get hit by the Sworn to Victory from that. So given that, I might just place one in there just to avoid an edge case. We could potentially hit a defend of whatever in land that you're in type of thing. So that might give us a defend there. We might get a little bit lucky. I know we don't have any fear cards. That tends to be where that comes up, but I think there may well be some events that can potentially do that. So that might just be a reason to get one in there, and then probably want to have another presence on this side of the island somewhere. We have one in there already. Yeah, I don't really see Call to Bloodshed again. Range on Call to Bloodshed is probably a nice thing to have. That one can give us access to range in there on Call to Bloodshed, which is one of the other lands that we might want to be using it in at some stage. So I think probably there, and there is all okay. We will of course have access to this, so we'll get to move the Dahan and the Warrior around again. So maybe, in here and then up there, something like that. We have the kind of gather push effect going on again here, which is quite nice. So that's all that on that side of the board. We have that. We don't have the bottom an 8 here. We're all good to go. We've paid for this, so let's go ahead and resolve our. Actually, let's go ahead and have a drink. Yeah. It's actually almost sweet, that beer. It's towards, you know what it is? It's actually towards those Sol kind of Corona style beers. That's, I think, where that hint of salt. That's why I was picking up on that earlier on. I was saying there was something which was triggering with me, a slightly piney taste. It's actually almost an acidic, that kind of lime. It's very reminiscent of that kind of beer. Where you put the lime in the Corona on those terrible beers. Those beers are awful. Desperados, whatever, Corona, all those kind of things. They're terrible beers. I hate them all. But that's what it reminds me of. And that's where that kind of, I think the association I'm making here is the salt with the how do you call that drink? The tequila. That's where I'm getting the kind of tequila, salt, acidic. It's kind of all coming together, and it's reminding me of that beer. So certainly not bad. I would prefer this to the likes of a Corona. As I say, I don't like those beers very much at all. But that's not bad, I have to say. I could drink that. You know, actually, when we put that in there, empty bottle doesn't need to go back in there. I could put my sparkling water in there, which would make a lot more sense. Keep you cold. Dry all that off there, and that should all be fine. Let's give me some of said sparkling water. Keep me hydrated. And we'll go ahead and we'll start resolving cards. So we've done our defend 3. That's already done. That's tapped and that's resolved. That's slow, that's slow, that's slow, that's slow. Good to go here. Let's flip an event and let's actually resolve one this time. And this is going to be... this is going to be one of the ones we talked about on the element episode, which is Life's Balance Tilt. Probably the best designed one of these. So it's going to say, basically, it gives me a choice here. So energies of life shift towards destruction. And what do? I can let destruction have its day. So on each board, I can, let's go ahead and look at whether or not I can pay. I suppose I can pay because Thunderspeaker has quite a lot of animal cards, so I do get options with both here. So I can remove a beast and add a disease, which is pretty nice. Obviously into this particular adversary here. So getting a disease on both boards could be really good. Then I would for each board discard the top minor power. If it's fast, add a blight, which could help us in theory. Although we said we have a plan for all of that. So if I do add a blight now, I'd go blight at random. Let's call it in here. So that'd be 1, that would be 2. Then when I build in here and ravage, that will go up to 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. That will put me to 4 blight before this card explores, which would be great. On this side of the board, then it's the same story, isn't it? So it's 1, 2, 3 and 4. So actually, if I flip fast with this twice, I get to flip the blight card a turn early essentially, which could help a fair bit. It means that I don't get the double explore turn here, which if I look at jungles right now, there's only one land at risk of the kind of mining turning into a mining land, which is up here. Sorry, not jungle, wetland, of course. And for sands, we'd have 3 lands which are not at risk either. So actually, in both cases, whether it's sands or wetlands, I've only one land which is at risk of being mining. So that's quite okay. And of course, then invaders and Dahan have -1 health. Does that matter at all here? With the warrior aspect, yeah, it certainly might. That's the only other thing. And actually, with my innate from Gaze, that also might matter as well. So that could be quite nice, actually. The other thing is I have to pay 4 energy per player. I would now have to remove disease. So I'd have to remove that and remove that, which isn't great news. I get to add an extra beast. I get to remove blight, which I don't really want to be doing right now, and then also give invaders plus health. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take the top option here. Give myself some extra disease. Get rid of these beasts on the board. The bottom here thing as well is going to be on each board with 4 or more buildings and 4 or fewer Dahan, which is going to be neither of these boards right now, so we don't have to worry about it. So my 2 beasts are gone. Sayonara, beastie boys. We never knew you, or we barely knew you. And I now get to add 2 disease on the board, and I would be quite interested in adding that there and that there to give us a little bit of extra protection around if those lands have to ravage at some stage as well. I could, in this case, think about, for example, putting them into lands where I'm going to just mining boom into one of these lands here somewhere and then use that to kind of suck up and eat the mining boom, but I don't really necessarily want to do that. This gives me a little bit of solidity when it comes to potentially the salt ravaging first. It might give me a chance to leave them alone for one more turn when the salt card hits later on. So that might buy me a little bit of time, which could be quite nice. So I think they're 2 pretty good options for those diseases right now. They won't come into play for a while, but when they come into play, they're going to be really good. I'm pretty sure of that. So that's that. Then for each board, discard top minor power. So this is going to be board B right now on the left. I'm going to flip a card and it's going to be slow. So unfortunately, that doesn't add a blight. It's crazy how this adversary wants you to add blight and you get disappointed, so it's why I love it so much. I think it's great. So that one didn't hit, and then the C board on this side is going to hit a fast, so we hit strong constant currents. That does hit a blight, so we'll actually get to turn off HME6 on this board right away, and this lets me add blight anywhere, which is fine. So let me read how HME6 works here. I'm pretty sure this level 1 is only on ravages. Yeah, so when blight added by a ravage action would cascade. So that does not allow me to blight cascade. Or sorry, I would have to blight cascade if I put it in here, and of course my presence is in there, so that's no good. So I will add a blight into. I mean, I think I'll just go safe and just put it in there. As we said, I'm about to flip the card, or I'm about to turn that board off for HME6, so I'm happy enough. I don't want any more blight on there, so I'll put it in the safest land that I can. We do know, of course, that that's going to be a 50-50 shot of exploring here, but that's okay. We can't do anything about that, so we're good to go on that one. We've already done that on that turn. Let's go back, to our card cam and see, is there anything else to resolve here? Yeah, invaders on the hand have -1 health. No. That's bad news. That is bad news. Oh, I've just realised the error of my ways. This is bad news. Because this is going to allow 1 damage through, which is going to destroy one of them Dahan in that land. Oh, it's awful news. So I'm gonna lose a presence to the Sworn to Victory, and I'm gonna lose a Dahan, and I only attack. Well, I attack back for 2, which kills kills 2 of the invaders as opposed to 3. This is shocking news. I mean, the alternative was just, I was going to have to like forget 2 of my cards with Thunderspeaker, which was never going to happen. And I'm not spending energy from Sun because I have got an Exaltation in my hand, so there's no way. And I'm not spending energy. So I was never taking the bottom option anyway. Even though this was going to hurt me a lot, I was never taking the bottom option. So that wasn't going to be a thing here. So the other option I do have in this case, what I can do is I can, instead of putting that in there, I can put that in here, and I can stop them ravaging, which protects my presence and a single to hand in the land, but it means I don't get to attack back and kill 2 of these invaders. So it leaves me much more vulnerable on future turns, which I'm really not in love with. And I think at this point in the game, I'm so not in love with that I might have to let a presence and a hand go here, because I just want to get rid of, like, my Thunderspeaker game plan is get around and make pings and get rid of little bits and pieces. This is very much playing into my game plan. Like, leaving these invaders on this board right now is going against my plan with Thunderspeaker. So getting rid of 2 invaders right now on this board might be worth throwing away a presence and a hand, which doesn't sound good at all. But again, I don't have manifestations of power and glory, so I'm not quite as invested in big lands with loads of presence and the hand here. I might just have to let this go. And I don't take a blight. So I think I am going to do this. This might be greedy, and I'm sure there's a lot of players watching this looking going right now, that's insane. But we'll see how it plays out. I'm going to get greedy, and I'm going to take out the 2 invaders by sacrificing my thing here. So that's all of that. Yeah, that was finishing out the thing. Invaders and a hand both have -1 health, -1 this turn, so that's okay. And I yeah, the bottom thing just doesn't trigger, as I say. So let's go ahead and go to ravaging then. So over here we well, that doesn't work, does it? Because I haven't ravaged there yet, so I actually can't put them there. Sorry, me talking a bit earlier on, the next time this comes up is going to be into the future, and it's staring me right in the face. I forgot it hadn't ravaged yet, so I can't put them there. I don't want to put them there. Where do I want to put them then? So I can put it up there in case Wetlands explores. If Wetlands explores, it goes... Oh, it only goes a single explorer. So I was going to say that stops the mining thing, but we're turning off HME6, aren't we? Yeah. Because it's going ravage, yeah. So that's all okay there. So that just gives me... It turns off the build. I'm not in love with that. But we're actually... So we're only exploring with a single explorer this time. So now that I'm only exploring with a single explorer, a disease will solve either of these 2 lands entirely. So we probably want to defend this land, which means that that's going to be there. So we'll put that in there. And then on this side of the board, of course, we don't want to go on that land, as I say. So we want to... we're pushing them out of there, so that's okay. We're not going to be able to get the HME6 on this side of the board, so that's fine. But we still potentially want to... So we said what? We're ravaging here 1. We're ravaging here. That's 2. That's not going to ravage. So it's not until the following turn that this ravages again. So we're basically looking to put this into an empty land. Now, we are going to push these out of there with Unbearable Gaze. We're probably pushing them out of there and pushing them back into the land with Badlands, truth be told. So we already have one of them in there. And we don't want to go mountain because we know it's not mountain next. So it's just going to be essentially either this land or this land go in there, I think. I think that's where we're going with that. Coastal's not a thing in against HME, so we don't have to worry about coastal. So that's all okay. So now let's actually finally get to the ravage. So now we're going blight. And we're going blight. And this is, as we said, 7 now as opposed to 8, so that's okay. And then over here, so this is safe. And now on this land, we're going attacks for 4. We've got to defend at 3. So we don't blight the land, that's okay. But we do have a single point of damage coming through past the defend, and the Dahan have -1 health this turn. So one of those Dahan is indeed going to bite the dust, unfortunately. We get rid of that card count for now here, and we can get rid of the event because it's resolved. Now that bites the dust. Now we've got Sworn to Victory. For each Dahan destroyed by invaders ravaging in a land, destroy one of your presence within range of 1. So, we did get evented, as we said, in that land, and our presence didn't do anything about it. So we've got presence. We'll just destroy that one there. I think so. Sure. I think that's fine. Okay, that presence is gone. That's over there. That's destroyed. Now, yeah, that's that. So we lost it in presence, we lost it in hand. Now we attack back for 2, but because all those invaders have lost 1 -1 health, that can die, and that's generating us another fear. Now, we do know that Thunderspeaker is not a particularly fear-strong spirit, so this does look like a game that might be a little bit slow on fear generation on the side of Thunderspeaker. We're hoping if Sun can kind of make up for that. So that's all okay there. That's the ravaging all done. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the build. When we get to the build spot, we're going to ravage here, and we're going to... Yeah, I was going to say I might build in these other 2 lands first and then do the ravage to flip the card. I don't think that's going to matter. There are, let me think. We've got like yeah, I mean there's like cards that put buildings into empty lands and things like that, like put 4 buildings on the board into empty lands or something like that, I think. But you know, that could allow us to maybe choose one of these lands for a building, but we won't do that. So I'm just trying to think, is there any reason why I would, we talk about this in previous episodes, right, why I would build first and then ravage as opposed to the other way around. I don't think it's going to matter here. I'm going to flip the card before I build, and I hope that doesn't bite me in the ass. So that's going to be 1 in there. Then we're going to go on this side of the board, 1 in there. Now, because of HME 5, just quickly bring it up here, or HME 1, we don't Blight Cascade. So instead of cascading, I'm going to upgrade one of these explorers. Now you can see it there, HME 1. I'm going to upgrade an explorer into a town. And that would happen before the hand counterattacks, in case that ever matters. So that upgrades into the town. Then we flip the Blight card, and it is going to be Aid from Lesser Spirits. And oh boy, this is going to get... this is going to get dicey. Well, we've got a game in our hands here, folks. And I can't mulligan this because this is... because this is not a true solo, I can't mulligan this. So I am now going to have a 2 blight per card player, and I'm going to be putting 1 more blight next turn, and then, as I said, I'm hoping to put no more after that. But Sun has an ability that places blight when it uses its innate power. So this is going to be really, really tough. I really need to hit a card with Moon off this. So let's read what it does. Aid from Lesser Spirit. So immediately draw 1 minor power card per player plus 1 more. So I'm going to gain 3 minor powers. I'm going to draw 3 right now, and I'm going to give 1 to each player. So what I'd love to hit on the side of Sun here is something with Moon that also contributes towards thresholding this exaltation. So I'm looking for essentially an air Moon card for exaltation if I possibly can. And of course, we know the elements. We want sun and fire on the side of Thunderspeaker. So we really need to get lucky on this one, because I have a feeling we're in trouble here. This is only going to give us 4 total blights, so we need to get really, really lucky. So let's go ahead and take this card back. And of course, we get to give one card to each player, and we get to use it every turn. So it's a super powerful effect, and it's super fun to play with. But it's only going to give us a total of 4 blight, which is not very much at all in the context of this particular game. A blight removal card could also be potentially helpful here, given the way this is all going. So what do we have? Okay. Spur on with Words of Fire. Oh yeah! Oh, that's amazing. Okay, that's a brilliant start. One of them is going to be very happy to have that particular card. So let's throw that in the card cam again here, because we're definitely taking that one. This is a fantastic card. Super happy with this. So that's a great start. What else do we have? We have Scream Disease into the Wind, which is not. It's not super exciting for us right now. It gives us, the air and the water potentially for exaltation, and actually it gives us access to disease, which is potentially, to throw that in there. That can potentially give us access to disease, which could be really good as well for HME. So that's actually better than I thought. And then it's finally, look, what's the last one? Come on now, let's show me the money. It's Nature's Resilience. Oh, okay. A strong card. We've got 3 really strong options here. Really strong options. That's actually a blight removal. If I can potentially pick up, a water card. It's also a defend of 6, which is just amazing, and defend is just amazing against this this adversary. So we've hit really good here. Let's be honest with ourselves right now. So quickly, Nature's Resilience into there while I celebrate with a sip of beer. So really nice hits here. Defend a 6. This is amazing. So I've got 3 strong options for 3 different reasons. We're taking the Spur On because Spur On is the nuts, and I'm definitely taking Spur On with Sun here in this case, because it's just everything I need with all of my elements. It's also excellent for Thunderspeaker, which would be really good too. But I want to hit that exaltation threshold. If I can hit that at some point in the game, it's going to take over the game. It's super powerful, and this gives me a huge amount of the way to thresholding that. So it's got to be Spur On for Sun, and then I think I just take the Nature's Resilience for Thunderspeaker. It does give me 1 single point of animal, which isn't particularly exciting, but I'm more likely to be able to hit I was going to say I'm more likely to be able to hit the 2 water. That's not true at all. I'm definitely not more likely to be able to hit that, but I am more likely to be able to get 2 what do you call it, a sacred site on maybe both sides of the island, which could give me access to the defense 6. And I've just realized, by the way, because we're sitting right in front of me here, I forgot to place my presence this turn, which I hate doing. That's at range 2. I would have, of course, had my sacred site situated over here, and I'm just looking to get back across the board here. So very clearly here, it's pretty obvious in this case that I'm looking to move back across the board. I have a couple of different options. Clearly, I would not have been putting it into that land. I would not have been putting into that land, which was ravaging. I could have moved myself across here and put it into there, which would have been at range 2. That put me at risk of an event that blighted my presence out of the game, which I don't love, and I'm not sure I would have done it for that reason. But if I don't do that, I'm stuck on this board, and I really don't want to be stuck on this board. I really want to give myself access to this side of the island so that I have the dual kind of access that I talked about before. These are the 2 lands at range 2 that were both blinding, so it definitely wouldn't have been either of them. Because like it's either that land or it's like I go 1 back, one away, and then I'm much less situated on this side of the board. And as I say, I wanted to be on that side of the board. Now, Exaltation, which I could have thought about doing on the following turn, gives you 3 damage in the land that you're in. Gives you access to a 3 damage in your land. So that could have made a difference, but in this case, not really. Let's just say, now that I know the way that worked out, and I know I wouldn't have taken a blight, it will be easy for me to say, oh, well, I would have just done it. But in truth, I might have played it a little bit safe here, and I might have just kept myself 1 back, and decided to maybe play it that way. I'm going to be looking to use that G3 at some point pretty soon here anyway, so that would have given me access to move the blight, to move the presence across the board. Maybe that would have come up. So I'm just going to go and do the kind of fair way to do this. And I would have said I would have hurt myself a little bit on range and kept myself away from that potential blight. So that's where that would have gone. And now, as I say, I'm going to take the Spur On here, and I'm going to take the Nature's Resilience on the side of Thunderspeaker. I'm going to put Nature's Resilience. I'll put it up here. It's going to get a little bit crowded here. The way I have the board set up gives me kind of 4 card plays for each spirit, more or less, cleanly, let's say, at least 3 anyway. So in this case, with 8 from lesser spirits, it might get a little bit crowded, but I think we're okay. So that's all that. As it happens, I took two fast power, so I don't get to use them this turn. Sorry, the Scream Disease is gone. So they're the 2 I'm taking, and they're now thrown away on that side of the board here. The other thing to think about here, actually, now that I said this, Spur On gives me those elements, which is great. But if I take Spur On with Thunderspeaker, I can give the elements. I can almost give myself the elements again with Exaltation, because I get the extra card play, and my extra card plays in my hand are like Focus the Sun's Rays, which is already like a tri-element card, Blinding Glare, which is a 2-element card. So my cards are already the elements that I need. But like now, if I get to 2 card plays, I can go Exaltation, Focus the Sun's Rays, and I'm like almost an any element away from thresholding this thing. Not quite, actually, because I'm still missing the water. I can just spur on myself, can't I? So if I find one more air or water card, I get the threshold. But I need 2 card plays as well, so that's 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, so we're quite a bit away from that. So that's kind of, we're not hitting the threshold on that for quite a while. But in this case, this is giving Thunderspeaker a card play and an energy, but I wonder whether I need the card play and the energy more on the side of Gaze. Gaze also just doesn't have any card play, whereas Thunderspeaker has loads. Thunderspeaker's already got 3 card play, and I can push towards that 4th if I want. So I may just need the extra card plays with Sun. So it might actually make more sense to do that back that way. It also gives me better access to like a turn where I can like Blinding Glare as the Ravage skip as well as something else. Whereas the way I'm playing it right now is it's going to be hard for me to do that. So actually, I'm going to swap them. I changed my mind. This might be a mistake. But if it comes up later on in the game where I get to a point where I have the extra play anyway, this is less likely to get me the threshold on Exaltation, but I think it's more likely to win me the game, giving me the extra card play, which I really, really need. So I think this is the way I'm playing this. So it's this way. Of course, then it basically, this Nature's Resilience, it gives me no elements, but Thunderspeaker is also really, really hurting for hitting that second level of the innate. So I think this works out better. Do I also upgrade myself this turn? I don't, unfortunately. If I gave myself the spur, I could upgrade my innate, but it's going to start adding blight immediately. And I don't really want to add blight immediately. I need to find myself a way to get a moon before I start using that innate at a higher level. So I really desperately need a moon on the side of that Screen Disease didn't have a moon, so I missed on the moon. I really need the moon, but I can go and look for that any element which gives me the moon, so that's actually going to really help. So I won't upgrade myself by playing. Yeah, so we're taking the spur on this side, we're taking the Nature's Resilience on that side. That's kind of our split in the middle there, and then we're fine. So now we are, where are we? I just flipped the card. I'm all over the place. It took me quite a while to figure all of that out, but now we're fine. Now we flipped the card. We placed as many blight as we needed to. Now we're going to build, as I say. So we build over here. We're going to build a town down in this land over here. And we're going to build a town up in this land up here. After the build, we're going to do the mining boom. And the mining boom is going to go where is the question. Just looking at this right now. Next turn we're going to go Ravage. The other two are going to be solved, and that's 2 more blight next turn. Ugh. 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 So what I can do is I can look to maybe combo the Voice of Thunder with the Nature's Resilience and just stop one of them. So I think we want to stop that on this side of this board here, because we're not allowed to take any more blight on this side of the board. We want to take one more, so we're not going to protect that this turn, because we want to take one more on this side of the board, turn off HME 6, and then let that be the end of the blight that we take, essentially. So in that case, I think we can Mining Boom in here, because we're going to defend that, and this would only attack for 5, but we've got to defend a 6. Does mean that we need to find a Sacred Site at range 1 with the Nature's Resilience. Of course, we could just as well do the Exaltation, which is also just going to be an excellent way to do that next turn. So 3 plus 6 if we take the G3 next turn. So that would give us 9 with the Exaltation, which is good to go. So that's all good news there. So that's fine. So we can find our way across the island with the G3 there. So that's okay. So we'll have the Sacred Site. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do this, and that'll give us better kills on our defend with the Dahan. So we're Mining Boom in there. We're just gonna sorry, I have 3 Explorers. I'm only gonna take one of them away. I'm gonna build, and then I'm gonna upgrade one of them. So that puts us at a defend a 6 in a land attacking for 6. So we're slightly edge case proof on that one too. So that's all okay. We need to do it again on this side of the board. And this side of the board. So we can't do it up here because that's going to build a city, and clearly we need to move them out of there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's at 6 right now. So I could, in theory, go build a city and then upgrade the thing into a town, and that puts us at 7 out of 8, and that puts us at 2 lands at 7 out of 8, which is tricky, but we've got the Exaltation to kind of help us along with that plan. So I think I'll do that, and then keep the other lands fairly clear. That was, as we said, was a plan from the beginning. So we're going to build in there, build a city, and then remove that, and then place a town, and hope that we can deal with that later on and keep the rest a bit clean here. So that's all good to go. That's, as I say, 7 out of 8 in both of them. So they're both risks, but we're all right. Now what do we do? So that's after the build. Now we go explore, and we hit the wetlands that we talked about, and I think that's good news for us here. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to explore. So on this side of the board, it's only a single wetland. It's a pity we missed on that one there, but that's also okay. We can come back and solve that with something else later on. So single here, and then on this side of the board, we're still on doubles. 1, 2, and then doubles over here. 1, 2, but that's into the land with badlands, which we like to see. So that all moves along. And we don't have any mining lands attacking us next turn, which is nice as well. So now we've got the slow phase. So we want to set up with the Voice of Thunder for the defend in this land. So that's one thing we want to do. We want to, I think, take with these ones here. So we can push them 2 in there. 1, 2, and bring our presence with us. So we're in there now, and I think that's good, because we want to keep them in there to defend that land, so we don't want to move them out. So we're good there. That's pushed in there, and that's all okay. That's ready for next turn. And we said we're gonna defend that with the Nature's Resilience. Over here, we already know we're defending that at defend 3, and we really desperately don't want to get edge cased on that one. That is for absolute sure. But that's okay. So that's our Voice of Thunder done. We then have to gather the warriors, which we're going to now want to use with the warrior aspect and start to clean this land. So let's look at what that looks like. So first of all, we Unbearable Gaze, 1 fear, and we're going to push 2 explorer/buildings from origin or target land. So we can push them 2 right now into here. Okay. And then what I'm thinking is I can use the gather the warriors to bring you in there, which is going to deal 1 point on arrival, which is actually going to deal 3 points of damage, which will kill a town and an explorer. And I also have, well, actually, it won't do that. It'll kill 3 explorers because I also have the innate power that can kill the town in that land. So that's going to read like this. It's going to read, it's this one here. Move all of your presence from origin land directly to target land. I am allowed choose the same land. So this is range 1 from a sacred site. I can choose the same land and I can move my presence essentially from the origin land directly to target land. So it doesn't force me. If you have, for example, there's a spirit mud, fathomless mud will force you to move your presence. In this case, it doesn't force you, so I can't choose the same land, and then I get to deal a ping of 1 damage, which would kill the town. So it would clear this land essentially, which is really, really nice. I'm going to go ahead and do that here. And the other thing with Unbearable Gaze is, do I want to repeat it? And the answer is absolutely, definitely not. So I dealt the 1 point of damage from, or the 1 point of fear from that card. Then I am going to go ahead and do this ability into the same land, which is pinging 1 to buildings only, which kills this town. That's another fear. And then that's done. And then on the side of Thunderspeaker, then I'm going to do gather, and I'm going to gather you into, well, so actually what I can do here is I can do gather up to 1 and then push up to 1. So I can gather him. I can actually gather the 2 of them out of there to pair up all my Dahan and stop them being alone, which could work. But it means then I essentially gather these 2 here. I want to leave 1 there, don't I? In actual fact, what I want to do here is, let's just look at what it looked like first. So I do want to go gather 2. Yeah, so I want to go, no, gather 1 is fine, which brings my presence from there, because I want to keep it with my Dahan. So that gathers 1 out of there, which I can gather up to 2 because I've got 2 air. I actually have 3 air in this case. Oh, that's another reason to give the air on this side of the board. I actually forgot about that. So it was good to take Spur because it allows me to use my innate power fast, which could be quite nice. So gathering at range 1. Gather 1 Dahan in there, and then now I'm going to push up to 2, and I'm going to push both. So I have 2 sun, so I'm going to push both of these Dahan. I'm going to push 1 of them in there with that presence, and then I'm going to push this one in here with this presence. So now the warrior goes in there. You've got the single point of damage, and you've got the 3 badlands, so that's going to kill all 3 of them, and that's clear. And I also have myself set up down here with a sacred site ready to defend that land on the Ravage after it builds. So I'm really happy with how all that worked out. All of that's done. All of our slows are done, and we are done with that turn. That took a little bit longer than I was anticipating because of the flip the card and do all of that messing in the middle. But I think it all worked out pretty well in the end. So yeah, we've got a dodgy looking situation with only 4 blight, and I need to take another 1 more. So very, very tentative, but I don't know about you. Pretty exciting, I would say. Enjoying this game. Hope you're enjoying it at home. If you are, please do think about hitting the old share this video with somebody who might enjoy it, all that kind of good stuff. But this is the kind of Spirit Island I love. I don't like clean boards. I love a mess. I love blight everywhere. I love big, slamming big exaltation majors. It's all great fun for me. So let's get back and we'll go to our reclaim. So we know we're reclaiming with Thunderspeaker. We're getting these 4 cards back in our hand, and I don't believe anything has significantly changed since we last spoke for me to want to do anything other than gain minor powers here. So let's go ahead and continue with the skirmisher plan. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We have Swarming Wasps, we have Fire in the Sky, oh yeah, Voracious Growth, and we have Dark and Tangled Woods, and that Fire in the Sky has got to be beautiful. It's again perfect element. It's exactly what we need element wise. Otherwise, we have Dark and Tangled Woods, which isn't at all our elements. But it gives us a defend. We have a defend in here right now, so I'm less worried about defending that. Fire in the Sky gives us access to some fear, which we desperately need. It also gives us a strife, which isn't nothing. So I think let's put the Fire in the Sky in our hand. Swarming Wasp is also not unreasonable choice here, but I think we're okay with Fire in the Sky. I'm pretty happy with that one. We're going to go ahead then and we're going to hit the minor button again here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Especially because we found a 1 cost. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's going to look like Drought. By the way, while I'm doing this, I'll put Fire in the Sky in the card cam for everybody at home to have a look. We've hit Drought here, which I would love to use with Thunderspeaker, because it's again perfect element, and I'll definitely hit the Sun, which is, so there's Fire in the Sky. We have Drought here, which is, I talked to in the previous episode, one of my favorite minor powers, but I just can't after hitting this Blighted Island card justify picking that. Otherwise it's Savage Maw-Beast, Rouse the Trees and Stones, and Enticing Splendor, which I really do quite like the look of here as well. So we can't take Drought, that's for sure. There's no way I can justify even thinking about that card. But Enticing Splendor is quite a nice one. 1 cost here. It gives us access to a Sun, which isn't exactly what we need. We do need the combo with the fire cards, and it's kind of fire we're after a little bit more because we've got plenty of Sun. But this is a good card. This is a good card, especially against HME here. So we talked about the I was just looking at my card cam there. It's a little bit slightly off kilter, so it's slightly falling away. The cards are at a slightly jaunty angle, but I'm not going to try fix that now because I'll just break the bloody thing. But Enticing Splendor is going to give us access to little gather effects. It can potentially move the hand. It can also do things like gather 1 invader out of a land, which, as I talked about at the start of the game, is exactly the type of thing that we're looking for Thunderspeaker to be able to do in this game. So I'm very, very happy with that pick up there as well. Those 3 cards can all go. There was 1 in there as well, which wasn't bad. The Rouse the Trees and Stones is not bad, but Enticing Splendor is perfect, and it's also 0 cost, which is good. So we know what we're doing there in terms of our gained powers. We don't, of course, place presence this turn, so we'll have to think about our card plays on that side of the board here, which we'll do momentarily. On the other side of the board, then, we're going to be adding a presence from the top track. That's clear. And that's going to give us access to 3 energy, at least. We may, as I say, almost certainly want to go ahead and hit that G3, which will give us all the way across to be able to defend. So yeah, we know what we're doing. We know we're doing the G3. We know we're gaining 6 energy. We know we're almost certainly playing Exaltation. And if we play Exaltation, that gives us access to Focus the Sun's Rays with the Spur, which gives us 1 more. So we'll have... So let's look at this here. So we're doing the G3, we're placing the presence. So we need to place that, and then we need to move the presence. Both of those things can be done in a moment. Let me just figure out all the energy on the rest of this, because I think we're looking good on one thing here, but I need to check. Exaltation is going to look like 3, 3, and 1. That leaves us 2 in the bank. If we then go ahead and use the Spur on to give us Focus the Sun's Rays, this costs us 0. Then it costs us 1. And then it costs us 2, which we will have from the Spur on with the 1 remaining in the bank. So we can have a triple Focus the Sun's Rays, which could be really, really good as well. The only problem is I'm about to move my presence potentially from that side of the board to the other side of the board, which I don't love. So... does that mean I go add you in there, which I'm almost certainly doing anyway, so that's fine. But then the move up to 3 presents together, maybe they move them away. I move them over to that land, and then that gives me the range 2 in there, the range 1 in there with the Nature's Resilience, and it also allows me with the Focus the Sun's Rays. Let's just bring that card up into the card cam. We've accidentally left open there. So this basically says you deal a damage, then you move up to 3 presence directly to target land from anywhere on the island. So as long as I have 3 presence, or as long as I have presence in lands with bad lands, I can move them over. So if I get to do this 3 times, I can essentially move 3 presence from the Badlands, and I can essentially pull all three Badlands away, which could be really, really good. So if I move my presence according to what I just did right now, I have access to the triple Badlands here, which I think works out really, really well. So let's put you to the side. The Focus of Sun Rays, you're going to put. I'll just put the energy on here for now because I know I'm gonna use that, and I don't need, by the way, the Blinding Glare. I did talk about it being the best card in Sun's kit, and that was until I found Exaltation of the Incandescent Sky here, but I'm also just realizing as well that Exaltation gives me a Blinding Glare for free, which could be really, really good. Which just is a free 2 fear because I'm not looking to skip a Ravage action with that. So right now, as I say, we've got Ravage in here we have covered. Ravage in here we want to let through. Ravage in here we have what do you call it? We have edge cased. Edge case can be a problem in there, but we're going to have at least one fear card, and we also potentially event can give us the hand defend. But Exaltation gives us an extra card play, as I said, so that gives us the Blinding Glare anyway. So just wondering here. I don't need the Ravage skip anywhere, so that's okay. But I do need to consider where am I doing the damage with the Exaltation. So that's a thing I need to properly consider here. So the Exaltation, of course, gives both of us an extra card play. It gives us some slow to fast, and it gives us. So I could make this Focus the Sun's Rays fast. Could that be good? Oh yeah, so I'm just reading Exaltation here. So Exaltation says, let's just read the way this card works here. I was just thinking about combos, but I don't think it quite works the way I was hoping. So target player may play target spirit. We both get this ability, right? So we both get play one power card by paying its cost. So we get a card out of our hand. Then we make up to 2 of their powers fast this turn. So I could make my innate fast. I could make my Focus the Sun's Rays fast, for example. And then you've got 3 damage in one of their lands, and then you may do likewise. So we both get to do this. So by doing this, I can do the 3 damage first. So what I was thinking was I was hoping I could move the Badlands with the Focus the Sun Rays and then deal the 3 damage afterwards, but it's not the way it works here. So the three damage, the line, you kind of execute all of these things as they happen. So you make the power fast, then you do the 3 damage. Then when the card is finished resolving, you can then go ahead and use the Focus the Sun's Rays afterwards. So it wouldn't work where I could move the Badlands and then do the 3 damage after the Badlands are moved, which is what I was hoping, but that's not going to work that way. So it's slightly less of a combo than I was hoping, even though this is still all sorts of really nice things happening here, but it's not quite the thing. The other thing as well that I have here right now is because I'm going to get to have Focus and Blinding Glare both out of my hand when I have the spur, that's going to give me 5 sun, it's going to give me 3 fire, and it's going to give me 2 air. So I actually have I have access to the full leveled up innate, the Scorching Convergence. So there's all kinds of amazing things happening here. Now that is of course going to add a blight here, but it's just beautiful. There's just a full leveled up innate, which I can make fast if I want. So by the way, how does this work? So let's have a look at the innate here from Sun here. So I'm going to get to go move all of my presence from origin land directly to target land, and then deal 1 damage to buildings only. Then I'm going to get to go 3 damage to invaders, and of course I destroy the hand here, which isn't ideal. Although actually I don't destroy the hand because I've got the right innate with the blue, with the water, and I also have the plant. Choose another spirit, and they add one presence to a destroyed presence to one of your lands. So I can actually bring back that destroyed presence from Thunderspeaker, which got destroyed earlier, which is also super nice. So I have that as well. So I have now that will happen I could, in theory, bring that in first before I resolve the exaltation, so that could change where the damage goes from the exaltation. But again, I'll come back to that in a moment. Continuing reading the left innate, so then it's 3. So first, now we've got 1 damage to buildings only. Then we've got 3 damage to invaders. So we're now up to 4 damage to invaders. And then I've got 3 fear, which is really nice because, of course, it will be destroying invaders. And then I also have 1 damage per remaining presence of yours in target land. So if I could get, for example, 3 of my presence somewhere across the island, I could one of the presents will die because of the blight, but it gives me access to like wipe some things out here. Now the problem here is all of my lands that I want to be dealing damage into contain blight. Like, I'm just thinking here, I can go and deal 1 million damage, but I'm looking at it now and it's like blighted land, blighted land, blighted land. This is the only land that isn't blighted where I could go across and use this ability in the fast. But I'm thinking I keep this for the slow because this is a really powerful effect in the slow after I mining boom. So I'm thinking about mining boom right now. Where can I mining boom and then use this to clean up the mining boom? So I could have this fast, but right now, strategically, there's nowhere really for me to run in and start dealing loads of damage into. What I'm thinking is more like wait for this to build, mining boom in there, and then go in and clean it up with this massive innate, which will be 1 damage, as I say, plus 3, and then if I have any remaining presence, I deal that amount of damage as well. So all super nice things happening in there. But the question, of course, remains: where do I then deal my damage with the exaltation? So quite a complex turn here. Need to really think this one through here. So right now, what I did was I did add a presence into that land, and then I moved those 2 across there because that seems to make sense. But now that I'm looking at it, I may choose to use the move differently. I also may choose the place differently as well. So let's maybe just put that one back there as well and think about where that one's going. So we probably don't want to use this fast. That's what we said. We'd love to have that moon. Oh, we would love to have that moon. We're 1 turn away from getting the moon, which is a pity, but we would certainly love it. The focus the sun's rays, does that need to be fast? So it'll be 1 damage. The second time we do it, there'll be a Badlands in there, so that'll be 2 damage. And then the third time we do it, there will be 2 Badlands, so that will be 3 damage. So it'll be 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6 damage. So I can do 6 damage into a land from the focus the sun's rays. So, and that one does not place blight. So this would allow me to basically deal 6 damage into a land here somewhere. Again, where do I need to do 6 damage? I don't really need the slow to fast here. As good as that is, I don't need it. So I'm thinking the growth, by the way, here at this point, the growth at range 2 might just go into a random land as opposed to pairing up here somewhere where I can go and ping for 3 damage. Yeah, I don't quite have the remove a blight ability here, which is okay. Lots to think about here. It's a little bit, unfortunately, of a slow growth phase as well, because there's lots of things I can do. I can't move presence with Thunderspeaker unless I use my innate power fast, which I can probably get access to if I want it. Almost all of my cards have air except for 1. So I can get access to a move presence fast if I need to improve on my exaltation. Otherwise, I have land solve if I want to solve either of those builds. This one is already solved. We know that. Nothing in this land. So I could just solve that build. 3 damage in there, kill those 2 explorers. Looks pretty good to me. And kind of just move on with my life that way a little bit. The move 3 presents together if I don't pair up this presence, I can still move these 3 across to maybe there or like there or something. So that's all fine as well. So I have access to that too. If I want to jump myself across. So that's all okay as well. We're using this for the fear instead of the ravage skip or the invader skip. Either or, it doesn't matter. I don't need to skip invader actions right now. I just want to generate some fear and get myself churning through the deck. There is something to be said for trying to protect this land from an edge case. But I'm going to generate a bunch of fear here. Well, actually, so that's 3. I forgot I'm not doing the this stuff all fast. I was thinking I was going to generate loads of fear, but no, they're going to happen slow. So I'll actually only be really generating 3 fear off this. I'm not repeating it because I want to keep the repeat for this. The extra energy for this. So I'm only going to generate 3 plus however much I deal with the exaltation ping. So, killing that city will be really nice here. Let's be honest. Using the 3 damage for one of my abilities to kill the city would be good here for sure. My warrior's kind of stuck over here. We'd like to move the warrior, but we can't really move the warrior fast with this. 1 damage per the hand. So this can build. I can just solve that with the warrior ability, assuming I hit the threshold, the 3/3/3, which hopefully I can. I think I can. So that can solve that with the warrior slow, the warrior innate. So that can solve that slow. The exaltation ping from Thunderspeaker can solve that fast. So that's solved. Both of them are solved. That's empty. This is something we'd like to solve. Sudden Ambush is almost a good card for that. But I can't get 2 to hand up there unless I use my fast innate to somehow get 2 to hand closer to this land. But that's like 2 actions to solve that land. I don't love it, but I might need to do it. I'm looking to really clear out as much of this board as I possibly can now. I suppose I can sudden ambush there and then jump myself across there. No. Jumping myself into that land requires so much effort to try. I'm thinking about the exaltation this land in the fast requires so much effort that I don't really want to do that. And sudden ambush requires 2 effects. It requires to gather the warriors plus the sudden ambush to get over and do that. So I don't love that either. But I do really, really want to try deal with that. And if an event puts something in there, I'm in big trouble because then it's going to ravage. I can't Enticing Splendor anything out of there because that's into a land without blight. Fire in the Sky, no. We know for sure we have to play Words of Warning in this land, which is a defend at 3. I get to return a presence with Thunderspeaker using the right innate here. We know that. That's okay. Not sure how much that's doing for us, really. It's not really doing much of anything, I don't think. I can Enticing Splendor. If I sudden ambush and then call to bloodshed, that gives me the innate here, the warrior innate here, which can give me 3 damage per thing, but it has to be in the land with my warrior. So I need a way to move that. which I could with Call to Bloodshed, move Warrior out of there, in there, bring to the hand. That would give me 3 to hand in there, and that would give me 4 damage, which would just clean that land out. So that means I don't need to Exaltation that land, so I can Exaltation a different land. We said over here, we were thinking about doing that with Warrior in there, but Warrior makes more sense over there, I think. So on this side of the board then, do I use the Gather the Warriors ability to set some more stuff up? Is there anything else I can set up here? Thinking about, can I get down sudden ambush that land and protect myself from the edge case here, because I really don't want to get edge case on that side of the board. So I think that's what I want to do, is stop myself getting edge cased over there. Or I can potentially sudden ambush in this land. So if I go Exaltation that land, Gather the Warriors in here and then in here, and then I can sudden ambush that land to stop that build. And that stops me getting potentially edge case in there. Helps me on the following turn. That's also all pretty okay. Enticing Splendor. I have what, 3 card plays? That's my 3 card plays. And I've used all of them. I've used the innate. Yeah, I think that's my turn there. It doesn't stop this from being edge case, but I think I have to be okay with that. And the question then becomes, how do I optimize for the Exaltation? I actually get an extra card play, don't I? I forgot. The Exaltation gives me an extra card play. And then if I play another card, I get to reclaim next turn by going bottom track and pick up one of my other cards. So that's actually good. So that does help me solve this then. So I can play 1 extra card here. So I'm going to have 2 plus 1. This would be, oh, I'm not going to be able to afford all the 3 cards I've just put out here. So I have to go put one of these back in my hand. Oh, it needs then to be the sudden ambush needs to go back in my hand. So hang on, how does this work? Exaltation lets me play another card. The Call to Bloodshed gives me the fire that I need. The spur. So I need basically probably all these 3 cards, but if I replace the fire in the sky with the sudden ambush, just wondering how I play what I need. I need the words of warning. The sudden ambush is what I'm trying to set up here. The Call to Bloodshed is, oh, hang on. I can give energy to the Chosen Spirit. So I do have a way to give myself 1 energy over here to play another card out of my hand, which is a safer play. I was thinking about saving the extra energy for the Focus the Sun's Rays, but I might get less greedy on the Focus the Sun's Rays and only play that 0, 1, 2. So 3 total times. No, 0, 1, 2 total times, which is far less damage, but it would also give me access to a repeat on Blinding Glare, which would be really nice. That's 3 extra fear. So I think I figured it out here. I think I want to give one of my energy to them, which gives me 1 and 1, and then the 1 from the spur on the Words of Fire I'm giving back to Thunderspeaker. So Thunderspeaker gets a card in their hand right now. It gives them... So if I do put Sudden Ambush back in my hand and I play instead Enticing Splendor, does this work? I want to gather one of these out of here if I can, but I can't now unless I move in there. So now I'm thinking about, can I get my presence in there with Sun? And I can go 1, 2, 3. That gives Sun the damage in that land. which is what we said we'd really like here. And it would allow me to return a presence into that. Okay. I think I have this, and I think I've now edge case proofed myself, I believe. So let's go ahead and do all of the things that I said. So first of all, there's a 1, a 0, and a 1. They're my card plays for the turn. Okay. Which is going to cost me, I get 1 on the reclaim here, 2 more in the pool. So that's going to be 1 plus 1, and I've got 1 left in my pocket. And then there are my 3 card plays with Thunderspeaker. And I've got 1 energy left. That's important. Now, obviously the spur on is free here, and this 1 energy I have on it is not my paid energy. It's the 1 energy I'm giving over to Gaze. So now what we said with Gaze was, we said we wanted to bring my 3 of these across to... No, we didn't. We want to keep them, and because I want to keep them in the land with the Badlands. So I want to, but I need a triple stack somewhere here. So that's important. I need a triple stack. Oh, the triple stack is so 1 damage, move a thing, and then I want to repeat it and then bring another thing. So I want to keep the triple stack. So what I can do in this case is I can move you over there. That happens first. So move 3 presents together, I move 1. Then I add this. So that goes in there. Now that makes a sacred site. So I did that first, then that. I can do that obviously in that order. So that's fine. So I believe this is what I want to do. I want to keep my triple stack here. This is going to give me access to focus the sun's rays. I can double it up. It's going to be at range 2, and I can still bring my my Badlands with me. So I think I've got the best of both worlds there. Of course, my range targeting is a little bit weak. I can only get range 2, which covers kind of most of my board. It covers all of my board except this land, and it also covers that land. So most of this board is covered by the focus combo. So that's okay. The next thing that I can do then is, so I've done the growth, all the growth's done. And did I gain my energy on this? I did. I did all gain my energy as well. We are now going to spur over on this side. So that gives the 1 energy into Relentless Gaze's pocket. I've got my, of course, energy from my pool on these cards already because I was laying them out. So I started with Exaltation for 7. These 2 are coming after. Now I've got the spur, lets me play another card and gives me 1 energy. Okay. So I will use my right innate now. I can do this before the other card, so I'll just do it in that order. So I don't have the top level, but I do have the other 3 levels. And let's just quickly look at what it is. It's so my pairs don't damage or destroy the hand, which is going to be nice here because I've got loads of stuff that does it. Then I'm going to have choose another spirit. They add 1 broken presence or destroyed presence to one of your lands, and then I can give them up to 3 energy. And I've actually never used this this level of this innate, so really happy I'm getting it on camera here. So I'm going to return this into here. All sorts of combo stuff going on. This is amazing. So that goes back in there. Then I'm going to give 1 of my present energy back over to Thunderspeaker. So they gave me the 1 from the spur, and then I'm giving it back to them with that. So that's all good news there. So that's that right innate resolve now. I played, of course, Focus the Sun's Rays. That's fine. That's out of my hand from the extra play from Spur. I haven't, of course, paid for it with 1 energy. I'm going to use that for the for the extra in the slow phase. I don't need it now. And then I'm going to play Exaltation. So we now both get to play 1 power card by paying its cost. And now I can afford the sudden ambush in my hand. So I'm going to put that out into play with the 2 energy that I have here. So that goes into play, and on my side of the board here, Blinding Glare goes out into play from my hand as well. So that's all good news from there. Next line of text then, because this has a million lines of text. Make up to 2 of their powers fast this turn. So actually I forgot that I can do some of this stuff not fast if I want to, so I didn't even need all the air for Gather the Warriors. I could just make it fast anyway, but I think I'm gonna waste my slow to fast here. I think it's better for me strategically to wait for this all to build up a little bit and then do, for example, Call to Bloodshed. That needs to be slow, and then also the the warrior ability wants to be slow in there as well. So that's all fine. I do need to use Gather the Warriors fast, but I had it fast anyway, so that's okay. So nobody's doing anything slow to fast. And the next thing then that's going to happen is we both get to do 3 damage in one of our lands. So in this case over here, Gaze is going to kill that city. So that's going to be two fear. And that's going to be a fear card, which is our first of the game, which is really important after 2 hours and 17 minutes. So it's been a little bit complex here, folks, but I think I'm on top of it now. So that's that. And then Thunderspeaker also gets to deal 3 damage into one of its lands. So I'm just wondering here, did I need to move stuff first before I did this? I don't think so. I think I just wanted to ping him in there. And we said we were going to go build in here, and then I think we were going to do the warrior innate in there. So we're going to go move in with Call to Bloodshed, which is going to ping for 1, and then we were going to deal the warrior ability, which is going to be 1 plus a further 3, because it'll be 3, so that's going to deal 4. So I can deal 5 damage with the warrior ability. 5 damage will kill a town and a city. So I'd be short for the what do you call it? But I can reclaim. Yeah, so I'm fast forwarding a little bit here to the mining boom, and I'm going to be mining booming in this land is essentially what I'm getting at here, so that's okay. But yeah, on this side of the board, we were just kind of wasting the 3 a little bit, and we were doing the 3 in there. So that, I think, is all okay on that side of things. Yeah, I believe so. So you're gone. Yeah, because we need a mining boom land on this side of the board. And that's going to be it. We don't really want to necessarily let it in there. So I think we're all good. And then I can reclaim my defend and just defend that land. So we're all fine there. So that's that. Nature's Resilience is now active from this sacred site here. So I'm now going to put a defend of 6 into this land. It's attacking for 6, and there's a defend of 6 in that land, so hopefully that all works out okay there. That one has nothing in there, but we've got our fear card active, so hopefully it'll give us a hand defend if there's any edge casing to be done. Now we're just going to use this, and then we're going to do it a second time, so that's going to be 6 more fear. 3 plus 3 is 6 more fear off blinding glare, so 0 plus, I'm going to repeat it in... Incorrect. Oh yeah. Sorry. It's a sacred site. Oh no. I can't. I'm cheating. Put that 3 back. I can't repeat this because there are no invaders in this land. So I can do it once in here, but I can't repeat it because there are not 3 presents in that land. However, move up to 3 presents together. Yeah, that comes from a single land, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I can't do, like, I was thinking there, could I move one of them over to here and then move 2 of them over to here, but it doesn't work like that. Was there any way I could get away with that? I don't think there was. To basically leave me with 2 here and 3 over there. That just isn't a thing. So no, I can't do that, unfortunately. So I can do the blinding air once for 3 fear, which I've already done, but I can't repeat it a second time. Yeah, I don't have extra range or anything like that, so so it's fine. So we've just used that once. I still have 1 in the pool, which is probably useful for another turn. So I think all that's okay. And then I will so that's gone, that's used. This is slow, this is active but slow. We've already done this, we've done our defend. So on the side then of Thunderspeaker here, so we will resolve these one at a time. So we're going to defend of 3 into this land. We're going to gather the warriors. So this is going to be basically, I've got a million sun and air, so I essentially just go 2 and 2 across and bring my presence with it into that land. That's solved. That's got a thing. Now I'm going to do sudden ambush in that land. So each Dahan destroys one thing. So they're both gone. I've got Call to Bloodshed, but that's slow. And then I have Enticing Splendor, which is going to allow me to gather a single explorer out of there. And I'm going to get a little bit greedy here. I could gather the town to be super safe, but I'm not going to do that. 3 versus 3 is safe enough there, so I'll gather the explorer into that land, and that all looks pretty good as well. We do, of course, have the full warrior thing, and we have Call to Bloodshed and the slow, but otherwise everything else has been resolved, and we're pretty happy out after all of that. So let's go ahead and grab an L. Gulp of beer, and let's move to the event. And it is going to be Remnants of a Spirit's Heart. So this is another choice event. So I swear I did shuffle these. I shuffle these extremely well after taking all my cards out and doing the thing last time. So it just so happens I was pile shuffling. I was doing everything. So we're just a little bit lucky that we've got a couple of these, or unlucky, or however way we want to look at it. But it is basically, in this case, we're going to be reducing our defend this turn, which absolutely is not happening. So there is no way we're picking the second option here. We are going to be taking the top option, which gives Dahan plus 10 health and invaders plus 1 health this turn, which is not particularly ideal in terms of removing the invaders from this land. So we're not in love with this, but it is what it is. The next thing is for each land with beasts and cities, which we don't have any of. And then finally we have on each board with 4 or more buildings and 4 or fewer Dahan, and we now have 4 or more Dahan on both island tiles. So thankfully we didn't get hit with this one either. So the 1,000 small struggles can be really dangerous, but because we're Thunderspeaker, we have quite a lot of Dahan going around, obviously. And this card essentially does nothing. It gives my thing. I'll put a reminder on the Ravage here, but sure, we're going to the Ravage now anyway, so that's all good. So essentially nothing happens pretty much from that particular card. Let's go ahead and go then to the Ravage step itself. So Ravage over here, invaders have plus 1 health. So in this case, they Ravage for 3. My Dahan will kill this town. That's going to be... oh no, sorry, we forgot we have a fear card. So let's go ahead and resolve our fear card first. The fear card is going to be Flee from Dangerous Lands. On each board, push 1 explorer or town from a land with Badlands, Dahan, or Wilds. Okay, so so we don't want to push out of there because that's a free kill. What can I push? Push stuff from a land with Dahan. And I have to do this, by the way, so this isn't a May. So on this board, I essentially have to push either from here or from here. And I think in this case, I'm going to push from here. So this is now what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about to go up to 6. Could push it up to 7. Don't love putting 2 lands up to 7, so I don't think I'm going to do that. Clearly here we don't want to really push in there. I could push in there and then just use the disease to stop the build, but again, I don't really want to be doing that and wasting disease on a silly thing like that. So I'm going to push that in there. And then on the other side of the board then, I have to choose to do something similar. So push out of Badlands, Wilds, or Dahan. And in this case here, I don't have either the Badlands or Wilds, so it's really just pushing out of a land with Dahan. So we're starting to get towards the salt card here, and this is where you start to think about a number of invaders in lands. So putting this up to a mining land and putting 3 invaders in that land could be pretty helpful here, because it's going to stop it exploring. It'll stop an additional invader appearing on the board. So this is going to go down to 1. So making that a 0 is probably pretty useful. I mean, it's this or this. Either can be made a 0, but I suppose that's the one I'd want to defend. If it explored into jungles right now, I'd rather defend in here and keep this empty. So I'll do it the other way around. Push you in there. And that makes a 0 and a 3, and that matters for later on. 0s and 3s are good. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna have 3. Yeah, I can only kill 1 invader on. Oh no, I suppose I could kill 2 explorers in this case in this ravage, but we don't really want to be doing all of that. So we'd rather get rid of towns, of course. So that's that gone. That's that resolve. I'll tuck it under there because that shouldn't be blocking that, but it's too much stuff on the board. So now let's go ahead and ravage. So over here, as we say, ravage for 4 kills a town and deals 1 damage to the explorer, but that's not going to matter. Then over here we've got again a defender of 6, so we're all good to go on that. We're only attacking back for 4, so again it only kills one town. So really poor return. That's cost me an invader in both of those lands. Over here we're going to ravage, as we said. We're going to place the blight, and then we're going to upgrade one of these invaders. We'll upgrade the explorer to a town. And then up here, this explorer dies. So that's the ravage. Now we go to the build, and we've got no, yes, and no, which is pretty nice. We're as we said, we played ahead of the tempo with the invaders, which is working out in our favor here. Now, after the thing, we have to do the mining boom. And the mining boom is going to look like, as we said on this side of the board, we're going to build in here, and then we're going to upgrade this explorer. Then on this side of the board, so we've got a 3, a 3, a 1, and a massive. And I think I'll just do it in here. 1, and then upgrade the explorer. So that puts it at 2, and then if it explores, it'll go up to 3. Again, I'm thinking about numbers of invaders and lands, which we'll see again how that works out later on. So put that to 2. 2 is also okay. You don't really want to have a 1. A 1 invader, a lone invader in the land will explore, and then it'll build. So you're not really preventing anything. You're not managing the numbers there. So we'll see what that looks like later on. Those defends are all gone, of course. So our mining boom is done. Now we're going to go ahead, and we are going to explore. So it is jungles, as we were sort of looking at the board and thinking about what that looked like. It's a bit of a pity. I don't think I really wanted that to be jungles there, but alas, it is what it is. So I'll go single explore. Oh, we need to escalate first. Escalation. Let's look at it. As after advancing invader card, so we don't escalate first. We explore first. So we now, of course, have HME 6 turned off on both boards, which is quite nice. So we go 1 there, 1 there, and 1 over here, and 1 over here. Now we are going to advance the invader cards, and then we will do the thing that's of course going to be our card on top of the deck, which is the salt deposit card. We'll look at it when it comes up. For now, this is going to be again. Now we'll look at this. This is going to be after advancing invader cards on each board. Explore in 2 lands whose terrains don't match a ravage or a build card. So I need to pick 2 lands that aren't matching basically wetlands or jungles. So I clearly cannot have it be either of those 2 mountains. That's very clear. So I can pick any of the other mountains, or I can pick the other the sands as well. So I think, as I said, I don't want single invaders alone. So I'm going to have you in there. That's going to be 1. Well, now that I say that, it's with a disease. So it being with a disease matters. So it being with a disease basically says that it'll explore, but then I can stop the build with the disease, and then it won't ravage. So actually, I want to leave that on its own, sort of. But I also want to leave the other lands empty. I can put you in there, because it can go explore up to 2, stop the build, and then it won't ravage. So that's a good one on that land. So what is this? It's twice on each board. On each board, exploring 2 lands whose terrains don't match. Okay, so I have to do this twice on each board. So that's 1. The 3 is pretty good in there. We don't mind a 3. I mean, I think I will just do that in there. That's one. I think the Badlands being in there is another. So that's twice on that board. Which is okay. And then on this side of the board, we've gone one. And then after that, it's going to be, I think, keep that one empty. And I already want to solve that problem. So let's just make it a slightly bigger problem to solve. So that's fine as well. So, okay. So we've got at least three of our lands here with zeros on this side of the board. And we've got two lands on this side of the board, but the others are a little bit under control as well. So we're kind of not doing too bad when it comes to the salt card. So that's all good news from that perspective. Now, what do we have? We have Call to Bloodshed, which is going to move this to hand in here. Going to go gather up to 3, which is going to gather 1. And it's going to pull my warrior in, which is going to do a single ping of damage. Then I've now got my level 2 of my innate, which says, and of course I've got the triple fire to give me this, which is going to be 1 fear if buildings are present, which they are. That's a single fear. And then I've got 1 damage, and then I get to do 1 damage per thing, which is 3 more. So that's basically 4 more damage on top of the 1 originally, 5 total damage. That kills those 2 buildings, which is going to be 3 more fear. So now we're ticking. Now we're getting the warrior aspect going. Now I'm starting to like this warrior aspect quite a little bit. That wasn't quite a manifestation of power and glory, but it wasn't bad. And we've now set that up where we can defend that now for 3 on next turn with our reclaiming the words of warning, and that should work quite nicely in there. I could also just fire in the sky actually, which is probably even better. So that's good in there, and I do now have a sacred side as well to fire in the sky, which is great. So we're done there. The other thing then, so that's all that done. So Thunderspeaker's done. Let's clean Thunderspeaker up and let's give ourselves a bit of headroom to think about the slightly more complex side of this with Sun. So Sun can do this and it can do it twice. So we said that already, right? So we can focus the Sun's rays and we can do it a second time. Now I believe we're looking at this forest in here, or this jungle, should I say, to start trying to deal thing in there, and that is range of 2 away. So what we can do, we'd be adding a blight in there, and that will blight Cascade, which I hate the thought of. So we don't want to do that, do we? No, I don't believe we do. Oh, I suppose what I have from here, the sacred side, I can do from that into there, and I can use my innate in this land, and that's probably just a better land to do that in. So I think that's that. So in here, we're basically going to go move all of this into here from the origin land directly into target land. 1 damage to buildings only. So we've got a single point of damage so far. Then we've got 3 damage to invaders and 3 damage to the hand. But of course, we're not damaging the hand because of our right innate. So we're going to go, now we're up to 4 damage, and it's to any invader at this point. So it doesn't matter that the first one is only on building. So we're now at 4 damage. And we're going to add a blight. So that's going to go add a blight in there. And it's going to deal 4 damage. It's going to deal 3 fear as well. So we'll just do that 3 fear now, and we'll come back and deal the rest of the fear after. And then now it's going to, of course, that destroys one of our presence, needless to say. And now it's going to deal 1 more damage per remaining presence of yours in target land, which is the 5th point of damage, which cleans that land. And that is absolutely perfect. So we're now going to deal 5 damage in here. All of them are gone, and we're going to kill the two towns, which generates another 2 fear. So that's going to be 2 more fear down, and that is nice and clean, which we really love to see. Just thinking over here, yeah, so that ravage on the previous turn, or on this turn it ravaged, it cleaned out, and then we put 1 explorer. I was just wondering whether that explorer was still there, but yeah, it died and then it came back. So that's all good there. And that's the innate done. So the innate is done. Now we just have Focus the Sun's Rays here, and I believe Focus the Sun's Rays is going to want to go into that land that I talked about, which is 1 damage, then move up to It's a 3 directly to target land. So it's basically at range 2, we do a ping in there. So we're now 1 damage in there, and then move up to 3 of my presence directly to target land. And I can bring a Badlands with them. So I think I go move 2 of them across, bring 1 of the Badlands, and then I repeat it a second time by paying the 1. So it's a pity we don't have the 1 more to be able to do this a third time, but we had to give it to Thunderspeaker, of course. So this is I did say before I would have loved to have played this 3 times, but it is what it is. So we do it once, then we do it a second time. So now when we do it the second time, we're again going to target the same land. It doesn't matter that this moves in the middle. It only cares about the 3 presents at the beginning. So now we do into the same land again, ignoring origin, range, and target requirements. So the way this works is, as long as you have 3 presents at the start when you use the ability the first time, it doesn't matter if this does this wonky thing where you kind of move your presents. It does it on purpose, of course, because this is Sun's card. So I can do it this way: move 2 across once, do a ping of damage, and then do it a second time, and then the next time I do another ping of damage plus the 1 from the Badlands. So I'm now going to do a total of 3 damage into this land. And actually, I nearly cheated. I forgot Remnants of the Spirit Heart is active this turn. Of course it is. So I did not get to clear this land using Relentless Gaze's ability at all. So I did 5. That would have let me kill 1 town and 1 explorer, and there would have been a town left behind. I'm very glad I remembered that and didn't cheat. So that's going to give me 1 less fear. So I did 5 damage in there, remember, and towns are +1 health, and of course so are explorers, because all invaders are +1 health. So that's going to leave behind a town, and that's significantly worse for us. Didn't get to clear the land, but it is what it is. That's that. Over here now, as I say, I get to deal 3 points of damage, which is just going to get to kill a single town. But if I do that, I only get to deal 3 damage, so I can't kill the explorer as well. So it doesn't matter. So I kill the town. Town's dead. That's my fear back. When I resolve this a second time, of course, I bring across my third presence, and I bring the Badlands with it. So now I have the Badlands in situated in that land, and I can reclaim the Exaltation, which will clear that land, and maybe I can jump Thunderspeaker in there and clear that land as well. Something to that effect. So that's all of that done. I took my pointer thing, I killed my one thing, I moved the 2 Badlands over, and we're all done with everything there. So Nature's Resilience and Spur on both untap. They stay where they are. All of this is gone, of course. All my energy, my poor energy, all of that comes back there. That all goes into the bin. So I'm gonna, of course, have to reclaim this time with so I have to go out of presence and reclaim this time. So I'm not going to be able to play Exaltation, because I'm only going to have 4 + 1, which is 5. Spur on will get me up to 6, but that's still 1 short of Exaltation. So I'm probably going to have to Blinding Glare to stop that ravaging, which is what it is, I guess. So, okay, so that one goes back. So that all comes back into my hand, should I say. Reclaim cards. I'm going to add a presence from the top track, which now gives me that Precious Moon. So I stop adding Blight with with my left and 8, of course. And that's all okay. So they're back in my hand, and I gain 4 energy. And I've got an Annie, which is almost certainly going to be a Moon. So that's fine. I do, of course, actually also have a Nature's Resilience here. So I do have a Defend for this land if I'd like. We are going to ravage here as well, though, which is the thing we need to be careful about. So I need to protect both of those lands, because they're both about to ravage right now. On the side of Thunderspeaker, Thunderspeaker is going to get access to a Reclaim 1. I have no energy, so I might need to G3 and pick the Reclaim 1 here to give me a card back in my hand and give me the 3 plays. So of course we're going to be playing the Fire in the Sky and the Voice of Thunder, which is going to cost us technically 1 energy only. So I could, in theory, go like G2 if I needed to. Don't think I do though. And I could reclaim any of my cards if I choose to G3 instead of G2. I'd like the G3 here to give me energy for now, and also on the reclaim on the next turn. So I think I'm almost certainly taking G3, which is going to give me access to 5 energy, which will set me up for this turn and next turn. So what can I do? I can Enticing Splendor, technically, to pull one of these things out of here, pull it in here, or maybe somewhere else a bit safer, and that would stop this ravaging, which I quite like the sound of. And then I only have to defend this land, which would be rather nice. So I think that's how we're going to go about doing all of that. So pull back Enticing Splendor, G whatever, into maybe this land, pull one of them explorers out of there, stop this ravaging, let it build, and then in the second main phase with my Scorching Convergence, hammer the land with the damage. And also, of course, I'm just putting that moon there because that's just definitely a moon. So then I won't probably have my max in 8 here with the thing, and that's all fine because I've only got 1 card play. Well, I have 2, I guess, so I won't be playing Exaltation. Blinding Glare. I won't need either. We can go Unbearable Gaze. Use this opportunity to play Unbearable Gaze. Maybe focus the Sun's Rays as well to give me access to my level 3 of this in 8. Yeah, so I think these are my 2 plays. Obviously, I've got Spur on here is going to give me an extra energy. So I've got 4. So let's convert this back to ones. So I've got these. This is all my pool right now. Unbearable Gaze solves something after it explores. So that can solve a land, which is fine. This is now going to give me access to my level 3 of my innate, which is 4 sun, 3 fire, and 1 air. I've got the moon, which stops me adding presence from that left innate, which is fine. We know we want to hammer that land with the innate anyway, so this can go like pull 1 out of there, let it build, which is going to build a city, and then I might even let that mining boom, because then I can focus the Sun's Rays in there as well, which is pretty nice. So that's all good. So we're fine there. So we don't really need to think about how we're spending any more energy on that. We have add a presence at range 2, and we can add up to 3 destroyed presence together as well. So what I can do in this case is in theory, I can add 1 of these and then 1 of these and make 2 triple stacks over here, which could be helpful to allow me to Unbearable Gaze twice. That could potentially be a thing that I might want to do. But I don't now have a Nature's Resilience active for that land, which is the thing I need. So no, that didn't work. So I've got 1 of them there, and then 1 of these is here. So I need to make a Sacred Site with this. So I essentially need to go add a presence at range 2 and add up to 3 destroyed presence, of which I've only got 1, and we need to make ourselves a Sacred Site. This is ravaging for 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got to defend a 6, so it's pretty edge case proof. So at this point, the only thing that we care about doing is we potentially want to add in here, because that gives me access to the combo I mentioned with the getting the land in the land with the Badlands. So that's potentially going to be giving us access to the Badlands there. Now it would mean I'd pull that in there and do the 4 stack, but next turn we know we're going for the G3 to get Exaltation and Blinding Glare going next turn. I believe that's what we'll probably look to do there. We'll need the energy. Yeah, we'll need the energy. So I'm going to move my stuff away with Exaltation next turn anyway. So I think that's all okay. So I think that's what we're doing. So that's all of that. The only other thing I could do is I could, in theory, do that Sacred Site in there, and then in thinking about Exaltation next turn, just clearing up that land so that it doesn't become a problem with the Salt card. Or I could think about putting it in here and allow that to start being my Exaltation land, deal 3 damage in there to just clean up that land, because we are going to now have to start dealing with these 2 big mountains. So I think this is actually probably better. I probably won't need access to that 3rd Badlands in there, I don't think. We're going to go, what, 1 plus 3, so that's going to deal 4 damage in there, plus that's going to deal 6 damage in there, which if I build will be 6. And then if I'm mining boom, that will be another 3 points that I need, which I can gain from a single focus the sun's rays. That will solve. 1 single focus the sun's rays will solve the mining boom in that land, and then I get to save my energy for the following turn, which I think I want to do. I might even get myself a draft there. So all of that looks good to me. I'm going to go over here. That's what I'm going to do. That gives me the Sacred Site as well as gives me access to that land, which I'm going to have to start solving. So I think all of that's really good news. And then on the side of course, we just say that's active there, over there. That's fine. We've gained all our energy. We're probably not repeating either of these 2 cards, but none of that really matters too much. Range 1 of a Sacred Site gives me access to a few different lands here with the Unbearable Gaze if I wanted. So that's all good news there. On the side then of Thunderspeaker, we said we're going to gain 1 plus 4 more. So that's going to be 5 total. I'll take this in singles because I need singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be Fire in the Sky plus 4 more in the pool. I'm taking from the bottom track. I'm going to put that somewhere in a moment. And I did say that I need to gain access to the Enticing Splendor to be able to pull a thing out of there. I actually don't think I did that like that, but that I obviously wasn't doing that yet. I was jumping ahead of myself here. So that was 2 explorers over there. So clearly here, that is what I want to do. The other thing I can do is I can potentially solve it with Sudden Ambush as well, which would be a fire card that would give me my max innate. The question is, where am I doing it? Well, now I can start thinking about jumping in there with my warrior, because I don't need to fast phase to gather the warriors. If I play the Sudden Ambush, reclaim the Sudden Ambush, play that. That gives me 3 sun, 3 fire. It gives me the innate. I'd have to spend 2 of this and I'd have 3 more on the reclaim next turn, but that's fine. I wouldn't necessarily need the Sudden Ambush next turn anyway. So I think this is the play. Return the Sudden Ambush. Now, that's obviously going to cost me 2. Let's move all this over a little bit here. Give ourselves some space. So, this is better. So the Sudden Ambush now does the same, cleans the same problem up, but it does it in a manner that gives me the fire, as I say. So now I'm going to have that. I of course have I needed the funny. I couldn't have done it with Enticing Splendor because I didn't get an animal, so I needed the animal to be able to move my Dahan as well. So what I do in this case is I'm going to add range 1. So range 1 I can go whatever. It doesn't really matter. I've got reasonable access to this side of the island anyway. I can go in there if I want to. And then that lets me go Sudden Ambush, range 1 in here. I had it anyway, but that's fine. Gather this Dahan in here. I'll pull my my presence in there just in case it's necessary. No, actually, wait. I'm thinking about the exaltation. Where am I going to want to do damage with the exaltation next turn? Oh yeah, it's going to be this land, isn't it? Yeah, so that's okay. So yeah, no, we're all fine on that. So okay, gather that in there. Sudden ambush. One of these to hand destroys one explorer. That's enough. That's all I need. I did say at the start that little tiny pings with things like sudden ambush is going to matter here, and it does clearly matter here with HME. So that's that. Voice of Thunder is slow. Fire in the Sky is fast. Ugh. Yeah. Voice of Thunder. Fire in the Sky. 2 fear. Give me another fear card, please. We're 1 away from terror level 2. Give me a strife. Strife you down here, nice and safe, unless it's the event does ignore strife, in which case we'll be properly screwed. So that's that. Spur on Words of Fire. That's going to give my darling Relentless Gaze of the Sun over here another energy. We didn't take that yet, of course, because we said it was we had 5, and now that's going to put us up to 6 total. So that's all okay. Nature's Resilience, we of course do have access to now, which is putting a defend a 6 in this land, and that's nice and safe from edge cases, hopefully. So all of that's fine as well. The Spur on Words of Fire gives us the second card play over here, which is what we talked about. So all of that's done. So we've done everything. We're now at 2 hours 52. Still a bit of this game to play, folks. Thank you for being here with me. I'm running a bit late. We're now after midnight, but I'm enjoying this. So let's go ahead and let's get to our event. And it is going to be Numinous Crisis. We got this one again, folks. I can't believe it. Okay, Numinous Crisis is clearly here now. We need to be careful because we can't remove Blight from the Blight card and let it be flipped. So the other thing we need to do is add Blight back to the Blight card. So how do we do this? So we're going to have each spirit either pays 3 energy, forgets 2 power cards, or returns 1 presence to their presence tracks. So I can't afford, on the side of Thunderspeaker, to return a presence to my track because I've got to reclaim 1. I'm about to reclaim again on the following turn. Reclaim all, should I say, and then I can maybe go ahead and just kind of push past it on the following turn. So in theory, I can afford to do it with Thunderspeaker. Not in love with doing it with Sun. But clearly I cannot afford to forget cards with Gaze of the Sun here, so I definitely can't afford to forget the cards. Can I afford to pay the 3 energy? If I pay 3, we said we're probably not needing to repeat either of these 2 cards here, so I'd have 2 in the pool. Next turn, then I could go up to 5 plays, 5 energy, should I say, and double it up to 10. Which would give me exaltation, and it could give me like 3 blinding glares or something like that to kind of rush through and get as much fear as I can. I did say I would have liked to have gained a card next turn, but I can't afford to do that. It would be 2 plus if I go top track and gain a minor and look for a 0 cost. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. And then that would just be, at that point, it would just be 5 plus the 2 is 7. That plays for exaltation. Blinding Glare is free. And then I would get Fire in the Sky for the 1 energy that could either play the minor I find, or it could play Blinding Glare another time. I'd really like to find here a moon so that I can use my Annie to kind of think about thresholding exaltation potentially. So I think I'm going to pay the 3 on the side of Gaze, which I don't love doing, but I kind of have to. And then on the side of Thunderspeaker here, I'm not paying the energy. Am I forgetting cards? Because I'm about to reclaim, and I could just reclaim and forget 2 minors. I can't forget either of my fire cards here. Voice of Thunder. I can't forget that either because that's my 3rd thing. So I can't forget anything in play. I could in theory forget Enticing Splendor. But I like access to Enticing Splendor to manage the mining lands, but it's not giving me a win condition. But I'd have to forget that plus something else, and I kind of don't want to get rid of either of the other two cards. Call to Bloodshed is potentially a good way to a cheap way to give me access to the fire. And Words of Warning is a defend card, which I don't really want to be throwing away either, especially when I'm at this much of a risk. So I think I'm actually returning a card to my tracks with Thunderspeaker for the reasons I mentioned before. So I can return any of these to my tracks here. And I think I will return them covered fairly well on this side of the board. I've got a Sacred Side over here, but I do have a Sacred Side card with Fire in the Sky, so I'm going to be moving those across in the slow here, and I want to keep my Sacred Side. So I think I can just get rid of that there. That should be okay. Just realizing on the previous turn, this goes back on my tracks. Let me just think about something here for a second. I think I might have pocketed that land in there, and I think I maybe shouldn't have explored that land. Let me just think about that. What happened? I went Ravage. Then I built in Wetlands, but that was empty. We remember that, so that had been empty for ages, so there was nothing in that land, and there was no building in that land. I haven't destroyed a building in that land anytime recently. There was no damage that I did. That land had been cleared from ages before earlier in the game. It's only touching 2 lands. That should not have explored. I'm quite sure about that. But this is a pretty important aspect of the game that I can't afford to get wrong. So I think I'm gonna stop the video, and I'm gonna restart the video again. I'm gonna go and check that, because that's a key thing in this game here. That's a pocket that I've created up in that corner that I think I need to check on. So let's quickly stop there and check it. So I was right. That was pocketed. Thankfully, I noticed that, because that's a bit to build up there. So that will matter. So that's fine. That should not have explored up there. So we're all good on all of that. I decided to return the presents from here back onto my track, which went up to the Reclaim 1 spot. So that's all good. And what else did this card do? So then we get to add a Blight per Spirit to the Blight card, which is huge. And this should give us a little bit of a buffer to get us over the line in this game, I believe. And then now we do 1 fear per board with disease, which is both. So I've got 2 fear. And then on each board, 2 damage, 2 to hand in lands with disease. So no, and no, which is great news. And 1 Invader's Ravage if the land has Thing Defend 2, which isn't going to matter. So let's go ahead and finish resolving that one and try to speed this up if we can. We have 2 fear cards here. They're both at level 1. So the first one is going to be during the next normal explore, skip the lowest numbered land matching, which is okay. We don't mind that when it's talking about the salt card on each board. And then finally we have on each board remove an explorer from a land matching a Ravage card. So we don't have any of those, I believe. It is matching, yeah, okay, so that's not going to matter. Not matching a Ravage card would be much better there. So let's go ahead then and Ravage. No, and then dead, and that's a fear. Then we have build, which is going to be over here. We're going to build a city. Over here, we're going to now Ravage because it's a mining land, so it's defended a 6, and that's going to attack back and kill 3 of these invaders, one of them being a town, which is good news. That's a fear. And then we have over here, we're now going to build a city. And then nothing up there. Now, after the build, we now need to pick a mining land. And a mining land in this case has to be 1, 2, or 3. It's this one here for reasons related to Habsburg Mining, which I'm not going to slow down the video and get into right now because it's late and I'd like to keep moving on this. But that's a case where we're now going to get to explore in there, and then with kind of controlled number of invaders, it would have built anyway, sort of thing. So that's mathematically a good way to manage the HME stuff there. Next on this side of the board, we did say we were most likely going to do this in here, so we're going to build a town and upgrade a town. So get rid of the explorer and add 2 towns in there, and that should all work out pretty nicely. Town and town in this land. with our bad lands, which is always good. Now we're going to go and do the Habsburg Mining Explore here with the salt card. So we'll flip this over and just move them into this place. So when we explore, we're going to explore into all non-mining lands. So let's just have a little quick look what that looks like in the card column there. It's tiny in the salt space. So this is the salt deposit. So we're now going to go and we're going to explore into all non-mining lands. So it would explore in there, but it has no source, so it doesn't. We also don't have a source in this land either, which is quite nice. So this is going to explore. That's going to explore with 1 over there. Non-mining lands is here. That's going to explore. Down here, this is a non-mining land. It's going to explore. This one isn't. This one isn't. This one is. This side of the board then, we've got this one. Not this one. This one. This one. This one. This one. And this one. So we've explored into all of the non-mining lands with that card. And let's take that salt deposits, get rid of it, put it down in here, and then it's going to try to build in the same non-mining lands. Not the same non-mining lands, it's going to try to build in non-mining lands next turn. They may be different, of course, because that might change ad interim, but for now, that is going to be that. We did the explore. HME6 has been off for quite a while, which is quite nice. We're seeing the effects of only adding 1 explorer here. If this was on either board, it's a complete disaster. So we were very glad we, of course, don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. So now, what do we have? We have Unbearable Gaze. That's going to do nice things into, I believe, this land here with this jungle, because that's a bit to ravage next turn, so we can turn that off. So from here, from a sacred site, I can go push to explore / towns. So if I push the 2 towns, push them in here, and generate a fear. So that does that, and that's okay. I could repeat this. I'm not going to, but I could repeat it in the source land as well, the origin land, if I was afraid of this right now, but I'm not, because it's still only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is fine. Then the other thing I'm going to do is focus the sun's rays. We talked about this already. We were going to do it in here, because the focus plus the innate is going to clear this land here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's only 7. I was about to say if that was 8, it still wouldn't have mattered because it hadn't been the fast phase yet, but it's only 7 total. But here clearly we are going to go. So move all of my stuff. So again, we don't have to move it because we're already there. It's going to be 1 damage plus 3 is going to be 4 damage. We're not hitting the max level, so it's stopping at 4 damage, but of course we have 2 bad lands in there, and that is going to be 4 plus 2, that's 6. And then we're also going to focus the sun's rays in that case into that land as well, which is going to be a further 3 more. So that's a total of 9, and that gives us 3, 5, 7, 9. That clears the land. So these are all dead from the 2 together, but we also then have the innate power, which is going to deal 3 extra fear. The one other thing that happens here as well is, of course, I have to deal damage to the hand in this land, so the hand will die. I don't actually have access to the water this turn, so unfortunately that is going to kill that single point of the hand, but that is okay. We'll sacrifice them. So that's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 3 more. It's going to be 8 fear, and that is going to amount to full fear, which is going to put us into tier level 2, which is quite nice. Now we're trying to accelerate and see how quickly we can get through and maybe clear off the cities and go for a tier level 3 victory if at all possible here. So that's all done. That's done. And we're actually done with everything on the side of Gaze. We didn't need to repeat anything there. We knew that. And we've got Voice of Thunder then that we can do here, and we might just look to generate fear with this potentially. So the other thing we're definitely doing here in this case is we are, well, we might look to load up and get a load of the hand in here to do our little mini manifestation with the warrior ability. I think that might be what we want to do with the Voice of Thunder. So Voice of Thunder can go gather 3 in there, and then we can pull these 2 across with a gather and a push and get them in there as well, and that would be quite nice. That would give us 5 to hand in there, and we'd really like to start slamming that land. So let's do that. So the gather the warriors is going to be the 3 3 sun, so I can at least gather these 2 and then push them. And I'm going to pull my presence with that, I think, question mark. No, I won't. I'm going to leave my presence there because I don't need it all the way over here. I've got plenty, so that's fine. So that's going to be gather and push on that side of things. The other thing then is going to be Voice of Thunder, which is going to be push those 4 in there, which I am going to push in with my my 2 presence. So now there's 5 in there. So we went move in there. That pings for 1 because of the warrior. Then we also have the innate, and the innate is going to be a further 1 ping plus 5 more because there's 5 to hand in there. So it's going to be a ping plus a ping plus 5. So it's 7 total, which is going to kill a city and 2 towns. We're really starting to feel like Manifestation of Power and Glory here, which is amazing. Really, really enjoying this aspect. This is a lot more fun than I had the last time, that is for sure. So it's going to kill the 3 buildings. I also got a single extra point of fear from the warrior ability itself. So that is going to be 2, 3, 4, and then 1 more is 5. So 3 is going to be a fear card, 3, and then 2 more down. So we have 2 fear cards there, which is good news. And this is all resolved and everything is done, and we're now back to growth, and we're singing now, we're tipping and we're moving now. All that's gone. Oh, dropped my cards on the floor, which is a good thing to do. This is the moment where people start questioning whether cards up my sleeve and cards hidden down at the side of the table and all that kind of stuff. So it was Voice of Thunder, Fire in the Sky, and Sudden Ambush. That was my 3 plays, right? Yeah. So they're all gone into the reclaim. We know we're going to be reclaiming, so all of that's going to go back in our hand anyway. The Spur on Words of Fire is there. Yeah, we should have had 6 cards, and we do. That's there. That's there. We're going back and we're going to growth again. We will of course be adding a presence from Gaze this turn. We said we need to go from top track for that one because we need the 5 energy. And I think we said we also want to gain a power card this time, but that does not give us access to a move. That was the only other one thing about this, is I don't get a move. But it might still be okay because Exaltation lets us deal damage in that land. The 3 damage over here into the city. Actually, the 3 damage into the town and the explorer here from Thunderspeaker does wonders, because that shuts that off as a mining land forever until something else gets in there. But that's good news potentially on that side of things. No, there's no way we can fast phase this, I don't think, is there? Just trying to think, could I get rid of all buildings fast here if with Exaltation, making stuff fast? But no, I mean, I've got 1, 2, 3 lands over here that need to be dealt with, and 1 land over here that needs to be dealt with. And I don't have... I mean, I could, for example, big an 8 in there to clear that land. I could fast phase Warrior in there to clear that land. So maybe we can do this actually. Fast phase Warrior in there kills that land. Full stop. Doesn't it? Yeah. So that's that land dealt with a fast phase Warrior. A fast phase... So if I go Exaltation and Blinding Glare, go from top track, go gain energy twice, I now have my final level of my innate. If I take the Annie as a sun, because now I'm less worried. If I'm trying to win fast here, I can go Blight Cascade in that land and just throw it in there. That doesn't matter. So if I took that as a sun, that does give me the max level of this innate, which, as we said before, so in this case, I'll just put as much presence as I can into this land right now by moving 3 across into there and add 1 in there. So I could get 6 presence in this land right now. And that's 1, 2, 3. So it is range 3. So I get 6 presents in there, which would be basically a single damage. 3 more damage is 4. One of the presents will die, so there'll be 5 left. That's 9 damage in that land, which is 3, 5, 7, 9. So I can actually clear that land with the thing. I have 1 presence left over here, which with exaltation can kill that city. And I'm left with a town and 2 towns to get rid of all buildings. Can I get rid of those 2 things in the fast? How do I do that? Call to Bloodshed fast deals with one of them. Can I get rid of these 2 fast? I can pull... No, I just don't think I can. This is so unfortunate. I can nearly do it. Well, like, I mean, I guess I have drafts, don't I, with Thunderspeaker. I've got 2 drafts to potentially do this. So what do I need to play here? I need to play Call to Bloodshed, which gives me 1 damage per 2 in there. So that gives me that fast. And then that gives me almost my innate already. So then after that, the only thing I could do is I could play Fire in the Sky. But now I've only got 1 more energy. And I need a way to deal fast damage with 1 more energy, which is going to be pretty tough. Well, actually, it doesn't need to be fast damage, does it? Oh, no, it does, because that's 1, 2. They're already my powers that I need to make fast. So I actually need fast damage for 1 energy. I can think of at least 1 card. Sunset Fire flows across the land, doesn't that? Or that's the one you do in next door. There's another one that you can pay. Yeah, you have to pay 2, I think, for that. But maybe I can use this to give me 1 back. I nearly have it, don't I? Nearly. I suppose push. Does push do anything here? Not really. The thing, oh yeah. A single point of damage short. Is there fast Badlands? There's a single fast Badlands card I can think of, but it needs to have 1 next door, and I don't have 1 next door to this land. I need fast Badlands in there. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I guess I have to draft miners here with Thunderspeaker, right? Because I can't play a major. We're trying to win here with some minor power cards. My game is all about miners here, so let's just see what we can find. Let's go ahead and see, can we hit something with Thunderspeaker. So we've got 1, 2, 3. If I find a way to do this, I can, in theory, I think, do this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have here, there be monsters. No, that doesn't do it. Call to migrate. Oh, it almost does it. Oh, call to, oh no, because it's slow. Faster hand movement might do this for me, actually, now that I think about it. So call to migrate is slow, unfortunately. Gift of constancy. Let's end a turn. Importance of disaster is just extra fear. Call to migrate. So what I'm thinking right now is that has to be fast in there. Wait. No. Because so my innate, so I can go warrior in here, and then I can go, my innate can go 1, 2 across, and then it can go potentially like move again. So fast to hand movement might do it for me, because then I can just move in there, ping for 1 with the warrior, and then the exaltation drop 3 more damage in there, and that does it. Because so far I haven't used my Thunderspeaker exaltation yet. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. But also a fast move. Enticing Splendor nearly does it as well, but there's a blight in that land. Oh, so close. Gift of Constancy. It's until end of turn. Giving energy to myself. Oh, giving energy to myself opens up major powers, doesn't it? If I gift a Constancy, play Constancy with Call to Bloodshed, that gives me... So now I just play basically anything with fire out of my hand. Fire in the Sky, for example, out of my hand. Because the other cards don't matter. So we're still trying to do Call to Bloodshed fast and Warrior fast. But if I play Fire in the Sky and Constancy, they're my 3 card plays. I have 2+1, so I'll have 1 in the bank, but now I can Constancy myself, give myself 2 energy, and the exaltation gives me an extra card play, which I could put a major from my hand into play, and majors are much more likely to give me fast damage. Because, I mean, I might as well take Constancy anyway, because Call to Migrate, it would do it if I could make it fast, because that can do the thing that I talked about, which was the moving the fast to hand, but I can't do Warrior fast and Call to Bloodshed fast and something else. It's only 2 slow to fasts, so that doesn't do it, and the other 3 cards don't matter. So Call to Migrate was kind of nearly it, but it wasn't it. So Constancy gives me a shot of a major, and I think my best play here is to look for something that's going to be 3 or less that gives me a damage 3 or less. I'm sure I can think of at least 1 or 2. I think this is the play. Yeah, because this is already my my fire and all that sort of. I have 3 card plays. Okay, that's it. So that's the first one. The second thing we're doing is digging for a major. Come on now, baby. Come on. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do we got? Infestation of venomous spiders. Not quite. Poisoned land. It's slow. Spill bitterness. It costs $1 million. And terrifying nightmares. Terrifying nightmares? Question mark. That pushes those 2 buildings. What can that do for me? No. Not quite. I could target myself with Spur. Oh no, that doesn't give me the energy. Yeah. No, that doesn't do it. No. I have a way to deal the damage, of course, but it's slow. Which is a pity. Spill bitterness. Hang on a second. No, I don't have the water to threshold this. I was going to say if I could threshold that the stuff in adjacent lands, but no, that's not it either. Unless this can give me a Badlands. I wonder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because with Gift of Constancy I can actually play Spill Bitterness, and this does let me add Badlands in adjacent lands. So can this do it? So 6 damage. Okay, so let's say for argument's sake I jump in there and I Spill Bitterness in that land. Blight, Cascade in there, doesn't matter. Now, how I do this is I play Gift of Constancy as the only card I play. Maybe I play another 0. But it does mean that I can't Warrior, can I? Play... No, I can't Warrior. Because I'm short a fire. Ugh. No, I can give myself energy, so maybe I can still do this with Spill Bitterness. I forgot I can give energy with this, so actually, well, Terrifying Nightmares could also potentially do it in that case. Can it? No, let's go back to the Spill Bitterness for a second here. So, Spill Bitterness in here, deal the damage, and in up to 3 adjacent lands with Blight, add a Badlands. So I can get a Badlands in here and in here, which is what I'm getting at here. Can this potentially do something for me? So if I play the Spill Bitterness, so actually, let's say I take the Spill Bitterness for a second. This goes into my hand. My card plays for the turn are Call to Migrate, or Call to Bloodshed, and Gift to Constancy. That costs me 1. 2 in the pool. Constancy gives me another 2, puts me up to 4, and then on this side of the board, I can give. I have the water and the plant, so I can give myself at least 1 because I've done the double. That gives me 10. Plus, I've got 12. I've got a million energy on the side of things, so I can give myself as much as I need. Wasn't really considering that, so that's fine. So I can give myself the energy, and then the Spill Bitterness will now give me the third fire. So I do have the Warrior fast. I still have the Call to Bloodshed fast. So I still have both of those things, which still solve this and this. The Exaltation is solving that. Now there's a Badlands in here. Or sorry, that doesn't matter, does it? Yeah. No. What we said was we needed a way to solve this land fast, and I found it. Right? Didn't I find it? Isn't that the way to solve that land fast? So let's just clarify. I think this is easy now. Now, because I was wondering about the energy, but actually I have a million energy on the side of Sun, so that was kind of changing the whole thing that I missed. So okay, so let's take the Spill Bitterness, because this is a cool card, and I like to win with cool cards on the channel. So let's take the Spill Bitterness, throw the other crap away, and I'll throw away some old crap that I don't need out of my hand. Voice of Thunder, why not? You're gone. You're forgotten. So that's it. So the 3 cards I'm playing then for this turn are going to be Gift of Constancy, I don't know, why not, Enticing Splendor, and Call to Bloodshed. Or you know what, let's play Fire in the Sky, so just in case I need the extra 2 fear. So I think on the side of the board on Thunderspeaker, that is the 3 cards that I play. Let's go ahead and take the 1 and the 1 there, and then the Constancy is there. Now, side of Relentless Gaze is going to be add a presence at range 2, which is in there. Then I'm going to be gain energy twice, so that took off the top track, and I'm going to move up to 3 presence. This is going to be 1, 2, 3 over into here. Now, no, I have no way to get presence in this land. God damn it. How do I have no way to get... Oh, no, I do. I think. I do. Yeah, I do. Okay. Thank God. I do. Because I have... Oh, no, I'm short. No, okay, well then I need to... I'm short in air. Short 2 air. Am I really short 2 air? So I can play 1 air. Wow. This is really something. Because I need... Oh, this is really, really something. So hold on. I think I have a roundabout way of doing this. So I need to get a presence into this land. which if I had the fast gather the warriors, I could, because I could go gather and then push. But I've only got 2 air in play at the moment. Now, I will be getting a card in my hand, but that's Spill Bitterness. So that doesn't give it to me either. Now, I could replace Gift of Constancy with something else, because I said I've got a bunch of energy to spare on the side of Sun. So Sun can spare. Let's check what they can actually spare here. So Spur is going to target. Well, actually, Spur can target me at this point. So I can get Enticing Splendor out of my hand. So actually, maybe I can do this. So put the gift back in my hand, play the Enticing Splendor, and then my extra card play from Spur will be Spill Bitterness. My extra card play from Exaltation will be the Words of Warning. So that now is, it now is enough air. So that simplifies things. As long as I can afford this, this will be fine. So can I give 5 energy across is the question to be answered here. And I think I can exactly give 5 energy across. So what I did was I went top track for the 5. Then I did double the top track. So that's going to give me 10. So let's go ahead and do that first. 3, 6, 9, 10. Pay 3, 6, 7 over here. And then that's 3 in the pool. This Blinding Gaze is in my hand for a moment here. I've got 5 left in my pool. The Exaltation is the card that I'm playing for this turn. Now, Spur On is going to target myself. I've played my 3 cards. None of these are out of my hand yet. On the side of Sun, I have the 3. I have the water, and I have the plant. So I'm now going to give 5 energy over to Thunderspeaker, which is just fantastic. So Thunderspeaker now gets 5 energy. No, I can only give up to 3. No! I can't believe it. So I have to take the 2 back. I do have to play Gift of Constancy. So now this complicates things again. Oh no! Okay, so I might still be able to do this. So I need to play Constancy. So this now gets complicated again. So hold on. What did I throw away? I said I threw away some random old crap, but then I actually I changed my mind, didn't I? So let's not throw away random old crap, because I've got Voice of Thunder in my hand, which is 0. So it's a free way to generate an air. So for a start, let's throw away, let's say Sudden Ambush, because that costs 2. So we'll throw that away instead. So instead of Words of Warning, we'll play the Voice of Thunder. That's 1 less, but that still only gives me 4. Oh, but I didn't need the Fire in the Sky. 5. Fire in the Sky is now not one of the cards I need to play. So I'll put that back in my hand. Oh no, because I do need to play it because it's got air. Oh wow. So I can play Call to Bloodshed. I could swap Call to Bloodshed with Words of with Voice of Thunder. No, sorry, with Words of Warning. What am I talking about? I need Call to Bloodshed. So okay, I was getting to a roundabout way, so I think I still can do this, but this is super complicated. I'm so sorry about this, folks, and it's getting late, so this isn't easy. So they're my 3 card plays. We've given myself 3 across, so that's 3 extra in the pool. I don't get the 1 from Spur On because that's for targeting another spirit, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I'm still 1 short of being able to play Spill Bitterness. Although I guess what I could do at this point is just take... Yeah, I think... Does this work? So let me again count how much I was doing over into this land, because that mattered. No. Oh yeah. Yeah, no. I think I have it. If I instead don't take Spill Bitterness and I take Terrifying Nightmares, I think I have it that way then. Because Terrifying Nightmares I can afford. Throw away the Spill Bitterness instead. I think this gets me there. I think. Well, actually, I'm not sure this does either. So I was thinking I can now fast phase this, get this 1 and down in there, and now I have 4 in there for the Call to Bloodshed. Push with this into there. Oh yeah, and then that gives me also the exaltation. So I think I have it. So the Terrifying Nightmares are the card I took instead. These are the 2 extra cards that I get out of my hand. Is going to be 1 off Spur on with Words of Fire, which is the Voice of Thunder for free, and 1 off Exaltation, which is the Terrifying Nightmares. That's going to cost me 4. Now, I actually in the end didn't end up needing the extra air off this, so I could have in fact taken the Gift of Constancy as it happened. I could have played the Gift of Constancy, but that's not going to matter because I think I have it now. So now I still have the Triple Fire for the Warrior ability. We still only need Warrior and Call to Bloodshed to be fast. So I think this is going to work. Played the Exaltation on this side. We gave the 3 across. We moved everything into this land. Now, okay, so this is done. Defense 6 not going to matter. Call to Bloodshed is going to matter. We're not doing it yet. Now, we start with the Gather the Warriors, which is now fast, which is important. So Gather the Warriors is fast because I've got 5 air now as opposed to 4, but that's fine. And I have a million sun, so now I can go gather these 2 and then push these 2, right? So at range 1 of where I had a presence, I can go gather 2 and then push 2. I now have in that land for Dahan and my presence. So that's what I need to do in there. Now, Terrifying Nightmares. Push up to 4 towns out of this and push them in here. And 2 fear. The 2 fear is not going to matter. Now, Exaltation. We both play a card from our hand. Blinding Glare goes out of my hand. And that's where I play the Voice of Thunder, actually, yeah. So the extra card play didn't matter. The ordering almost screwed me up here, but no, it's fine. I didn't need the Voice of Thunder as part of all of this. Actually, the Voice of Thunder didn't matter, which I'm thankful for, because getting the Terrifying Nightmares off the spur was enough. I had the energy for it, and just about, and I had already the 4 air from that card. So let's just say now the Voice of Thunder comes out of my hand. I didn't need it before, which was fine. I had 4 sun and all that, so all that was fine. Now we resolve the Exaltation. So the Exaltation gives us the extra card play, gives us 2 slow to fasts. It gives us 3 damage each into one of our lands, which in this case, in both circumstances, is going to be 3 damage each from the 2 spirits, both going into that because they're both in the land. That kills those 3 towns. That's done. And yeah, we obviously both get to do these things. So now that's done. Now we only have 3 lands that we need to deal with. So now let's go ahead and look at our slow to fasts. Our slow to fast is going to be on this side of things is going to be the innate from Relentless Gaze, and on this side of things it's going to be Warrior and Call to Bloodshed. Start with Warrior into this land. I am going to have in a land with my Warrior plus Dahan, I'm going to deal 1 damage plus 1 per Dahan, which is going to be 6 total damage. That's going to kill those 2 buildings in there. I'm going to knock over that Explorer, and it's also going to kill that Explorer. We can throw you up as well, so you're all gone out of that land. All that's still in that land, and we'll deal with that in a second. So the Warrior is done. Of course, it generates a fear plus whatever died. Then we're going to have that's done. Now we Call to Bloodshed at range 1 into here, and it's going to be 1 damage per Dahan, which is going to deal 4 damage, and it's going to kill all of that. And finally, there's only 1 land left on the board that has any buildings in it whatsoever, and it's going to be this big land in here, where I currently have 6 of my presents with Relentless Gaze of the Sun, and I'm going to move all of my presents in there, which are already in. I'm going to deal 1 damage. I'm going to deal 3 more damage, which is going to be 4 damage. I am going to place a Blight. which will kill that presence. That dies. I'm going to Blight Cascade into that land there next door, and then I'm now going to do 1 damage per remaining presence, which is 5 more. So it's going to be 4 plus 5 is going to be, as we said before, 9 damage, and that is going to be exactly 3, 5, 7, 9, and that is going to give us a terror level. Well, let's add up all the blight, because it might push me into terror level 3. So it's going to be 1, or let's add the fear, should I say? 1, 2, 3. Well, unfortunately, I did say I'd have to come back in and fix this particular issue I raised earlier in the video. Yeah, so basically, we've reached the end. It was an epic ending, and it's really unfortunate that I have to come in and do this kind of anticlimactic stuff, which is to fix the problem. Of course, as I say, on the previous turn, I forgot to sacrifice a presence to the left innate of sun. So that was when I had the moon element. It obviously allows you to not add blight, but of course you still have to actually destroy a presence somewhere in the island, you know, to kind of replace that blight at. Thankfully, we could have destroyed any of the 3, so it kind of didn't. There's none of this sort of, would I have done A or would I have done B? I could have actually destroyed any of my presence on the island when I did that, and I'll show you why now. So I'm basically just going to play out the ending of the game, assuming I had have destroyed the presence on the previous turn. I'm gonna show it here as though I destroyed the presence, which I probably would have done, is destroyed the presence down here in this mountain. I didn't need the sacred site for closing out the rest of that particular turn. I had already used it, of course, to play the Nature's Resilience on the previous turn, and I sort of would have probably known in my mind that I could have just created another sacred site there this turn. So needless to say, I needed every single present to do the other win that I've just shown, but now I'm going to show you the win without, because I couldn't be one short, right? So I had to kind of change this and do this quite a bit differently. So I'm going to rewind. I've rewound the game state all the way back to the start of the turn. I didn't change the fear cards because they're not going to change. It's going to be the same amount of fear and all the rest of that. So I didn't touch any of that, but pretty much everything else has been rewound. The board state is back to the state that it was. My state on the left hand side here with sun at the end of the previous turn was to use those cards. They're gone. These were the 2 cards that were in my hand. I'm going to have to take different growth pattern with sun here. For Thunderspeaker, I am going to still do the reclaim. So I'm actually pretty much, playing a lot of the start of the turn out similarly with Thunderspeaker. So I get my cards back in my hand with my reclaim. The first card that I took, or the first draft that I did, was to gain the Gift of Constancy, and that's now going to matter quite a bit. So I'm going to do that all the exact same. And then the second draft, as I did in the first run through, was to gain a major, which again I'm not changing any of that, but I'm changing the card that I took. So rather than take the Terrifying Nightmares, I had been looking at this Spill Bitterness, I believe, at the end of the previous run through, and I was thinking there might have been something I could do with it, and it turns out that there is. So I'm going to take the Spill Bitterness this time, and I'm going to play the turn quite a little bit differently now with Thunderspeaker. So let me show you how that's all going to run. They're the 2 cards in my hand. I've already forgotten a card to the major, but I could throw any of the ones I'm not using away either way in case I forgot that. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to play Gift of Constancy. I'm going to play Enticing Splendor, and I'm going to play what was the other card that I was going to play? It was going to be Fire in the Sky. So that's going to cost me 1, and I'm going to bank 2. Okay. So that's going to be the turn that I take with Thunderspeaker. They're my 3 card plays, and we'll come back to the Spill Bitterness later on when we get our extra card play. Now, on the side of Sun, on the previous time, I did the G3 to generate a whole bunch of extra energy. I'm not doing that this time. We're taking a little bit of a different play, as I say. So I'm going to go Add Presence. That's still going to come from the top track. So that's still going to give us, I have my 5 energy off to the side over here. But instead of G3, we're now going G1 and we're reclaiming cards. So again, quite a little bit different here. So they're going back in my hand. That gives us less energy to work with this time around, but it still gives us the 7, which is key for the card Exaltation, of course, of the Incandescent Sky. So that's still going to be our card play. We have our 3 cards in our hand right now, and I'm going to obviously spend my 5 that I just gained, plus the 2 that I had banked from the previous turn. That's all going on the exaltation. So that's in a sense a little bit similar to how I played the previous turn. So that's all that done. This time our any element is going to be a water rather than a sun, and you'll see why now momentarily. So that's going to be the growth phase for both spirits. What I do, of course, when I reclaim this destroyed presence that I had is going to be added to the island up to range 3, and I'm going to get to add a presence at range 2 as well. So that's why I said before it actually didn't matter which one of my presents I destroyed on the previous turn. It could have been any of them. I could have destroyed this one over here, and then now during my growth I could just at range 2 put it back in there. I could have destroyed the sacred side over here, which is how I've sort of shown this. And if I do it that way, I just get to add back into that land. So essentially what I'm doing right now is I'm adding these 2 presents back in over into this land. And I'm giving myself 3 presents here, 3 presents there, and 1 presence there. And as I say, this could have been done in any permutation. If I'd have destroyed that one on the previous turn over there, I actually don't even need to have 3 in there anymore. So, you know, I could have just dropped that one over here and given myself extra presents, but essentially all 3 combinations could allow me to get back to this particular board state, and from here I can show how I can win. So that's all of that. So the growth's done here, the growth's done here. I've got none in the bank on this side, and I've got 2 in the bank on this side. So now we do things slightly differently, as I say. On the side of spur on words of fire, I'm now giving this over to Sun rather than take it for myself with Thunderspeaker. So this is giving spur on to Sun, and Sun is now going to get 1 energy. That goes in the bank, and they can play an additional card play this turn. That is going to allow them to play Focus the Sun's Rays. So we're getting that out of our hand. That's now in play. Next thing that happens here, let me just make sure we've got all of this lined up. I believe everything is lined up now. So now we're going to go exaltation. I actually this whole sequence of plays end up being more damage efficient. I actually give up some damage by doing it this way. So there was a lot of different permutations I was trying to figure out, but this ends up being the most, let's say, optimal or optimized, should I say. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go exaltation. That's going to give us each an extra card play. So let's go ahead and play Blinding Glare on the side of Sun, and this Unbearable Gaze is gone out of the game. We don't care about it. So now that's our card play there. We will target spirit may play 1 power card by paying its cost. So actually, sorry, before we use this, I can't remember whether you need to do this now or late, or you can do it later in the turn, but just in case I need to do it now, I'm going to, before I do this, I'm going to go Gift of Constancy to give myself 2 energy with Thunderspeaker. That's going to be 2 more there. And then I'm also going to use the right innate of gaze, which is going to be the 3, the blue, the water, and the plant, and that's going to give that single energy back over to Thunderspeaker. So we're going to pass it back over. We did this kind of pass back and forward thing. So Thunderspeaker now has 5 in the bank. Now I'm going to go ahead and resolve the exaltation. So if I have to do this sort of in the middle of the resolution, I can now afford it. So now I'm going to play this Bill Bitterness, which is going to cost that full 5 that we now have in the bank. That's going to go there on that particular card. So now this one is in play, and that's going to be our 3rd fire for the warrior aspect. So I gave up on one of the fire cards in my hand, but I got it back with the Spill Bitterness. So that's all okay as well. So we've now got an extra card play each. We can now use 2 power slow to fast, which we're going to take advantage of in a moment. And now we get to do the 3 damage in each of their lands. Over here in this land, I'm going to still kill this city from Sun, and in this case I actually can waste, as I say, 3 damage. I don't even need the 3 damage from Thunderspeaker, so I can just, if I want to, I can kill those 3 explorers, because why not? I've nothing better to do with them. So that's all fine. Now what we can do is I'm going to use the Gather the Warriors ability fast. I don't have 4 air, I only have 3, but I'm going to use it as one of my slow to fast. So this is going to give me Gather the Warriors, and now I'm going to move this like I did last time, but instead of putting it in there, I'm putting it in here. So I'll go Gather and push, and now I'm in this land in the middle. So that's going to be that. That's one of my slow to fasts. Second slow to fast is going to be the warrior ability, so I'm going to do exactly what I did before, which is deal 6 damage in there. So that's all dead, and that's wiped out, and that's fine. So that's the same as before. Now, Nature's Resilience. I now have 1 water plus 2 water. I now have Nature's Resilience as a blight removal effect. So at range 1 from a sacred side in here, I'm going to remove this blight from the board. Just knock that over. Where did I knock that from? Was there, wasn't it? So now this land has no blight, which is very important for the enticing splendor that I have, which is now going to go gather at range 0 in a land with 0 blight, and I'm going to gather that town from that land into this land. So now that town is in the middle. The fire in the sky we don't need to resolve. We don't care about. Nature's resilience is already resolved. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to use Spill Bitterness into the earth, which is at range 0. I'm going to deal 6 damage in here, which is going to kill all 3 of those towns. It's going to do a whole bunch of Badlands adding. It's going to add 2 Badlands in here, plus Badlands in adjacent lands. I'm pretty sure I need the Badlands in this land, so it's the only one I'm going to bother placing, but I could place a bunch more. So obviously in up to 3 adjacent lands with Blight, I can add a Badlands. So I'm going to go ahead. I was about to put this in the card cam, but I don't have it set up anymore because this is obviously the next day. So Spill Bitterness into the earth. It's going to allow me to in an adjacent land with Blight out of Badlands, and I can do it in 3. I'm only doing it in 1, so that's the Badlands gone in there. And of course I have to add a Blight back into this land, and that's going to destroy my presence, and we don't really care about any of that. That's all fine. And then now on the side of Sun, they're going to go ahead and they're going to use their 2 slow to fast. First thing they're going to do is they're going to go focus the Sun's rays, which is range 2 from a sacred site. I'm going to deal 1 damage into this land, and I'm going to move up to 3 from over here into this land, and they're going to pull a Badlands with them as part of the resolution of this card. So what I did there was I did a single point of damage, but because there's a Badlands in the land, that's going to count as 2 points of damage. So now in this land, we will go ahead and we'll just kill a town with that. That was killing that was dealing 2 points of damage. And then finally, we of course have the full max innate, because now we didn't need to take the Annie as the Sun anymore, because we've got 3 Sun cards in play. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have the 5 Sun back, as well, of course, as the fire and the air that we need. And now that is finally going to give us the max innate here, Scorching Convergence at max value, which is now going to be able to do it's the 1 damage plus the 3, which is 4. Then it's going to do the Blight Cascade thing that we saw before. It's still going to do the Blight Cascade, so we'll just quickly go ahead and do and show what that looks like. It's going to be 1 and 2. That's going to destroy 1 of my presence, and then the last line is going to have 5 remaining presence in the land. So it's still going to do that kind of 9 that we talked about before, but now there's going to be 2 extra Badlands in there, so it's actually going to deal 11 damage in there, and there's even less invaders than before, so that's going to wipe the whole land clean. And of course that is still going to give us the same Terror level 2 victory that we saw from the previous iteration. So as I say, this way ends up dealing more damage than the other way, and yeah, look, ultimately it's the exact same outcome. Really hope you enjoyed that. You kind of got 2 for 1, even though this was a little bit clunky to kind of jump back and forward at the end. I'm not super happy I had to do it, but I did want to clean that up and make sure that this wasn't an asterisk win. So as I say, I had to take it away a little bit, took a photo of it, looked at it once or twice throughout the day to try figure out the combo that worked, but we got there in the end. So again, hope you enjoyed it. Let's just pass you back over to the video to close out with my with my past self. See ya. Let's add the fear, should I say. 1, 2, 3 cities, and it's going to be 7 towns. So 3 cities is 6 fear. 7 towns is going to be 7 fear. That's going to be 13 fear plus the 3, going to be 16 fear, and that is going to look like 2 fear cards, 1 and 2, and that is a terror level 2 victory. And oh my god, that was amazing. Oh my god, it's 1 a.m. I'm having to stop myself from screaming the house down. That was the greatest thing. Exaltation of the incandescent sky. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the greatest card in the history of any game. Oh god damn it, I love this card. Oh, it's late. I'm happy. I'm slap happy. I'm going crazy. That was fantastic. This is why we play this game. Oh Man, this card, you saw when I saw this earlier in the game, I'm just like, no, that's the card. I love it too much. It does so many good things. I didn't even have to threshold it in this game because the game just didn't quite go that way. But anyway, look, I'm not deep diving. I'm not going to analyze this. This is amazing. I'm going to let it as it stand. If you've stuck with me this far, we're now, probably pushing 3.5 hours or something like that. I'm not sure how long this took. I just like to talk. I like to get into it. I like to talk through what we're doing. And it leads to these great moments at the end of the game, which if you're here with me and you're watching this, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being here. I am going to have a little sip of my beer as a celebration. It's not. It's flat. I'm not going to lie to you. It's flat, but it's beer, and I'm celebrating. So again, thank you so much for being here, and we're going to break this all down, of course, on the HME episode where we talk a little bit. We didn't actually even get to see how the salt all worked out, so we got a pretty early win here. But look, that's kind of all how that all shook out. Again, if you enjoyed what you saw, please do hit the like, hit the comments. Let me know what mistakes I made in the game. I really hope I didn't make too many, but if I did, please do, of course, let me know. I'm very happy to hear them. And if you enjoyed it, share it to your friends, hit the subscribe button, do all that kind of good stuff. But that's going to be it for me for now. I've got to get to bed. I've got to look after kids in the morning. I've got to look after a sick wife in the morning. I'm going to have to look after a sick me in the morning. So that's it. I will see you next time. Take it easy.